You've been told that changing the world starts with big actions, that it's about fixing the external, controlling the chaos around you. But if that were true, why do so many people who try to change everything still feel overwhelmed, disconnected, or lost? Why do you feel like you're running in circles, struggling to find peace, unable to silence the noise in your own mind? The truth is, real change doesn't come from the outside, it begins within. When you focus on your mind, when you truly take care of it, you not only transform yourself, but the world around you. Buddhism has known this for centuries. The wisdom of mindfulness, meditation, and inner peace teaches us that the world reflects the state of our mind. Want to change your life? Start with your thoughts, your focus, your inner world. This isn't just another concept to ponder, it's a way of life. As you dive into these lessons, your mind will quiet down, the weight of stress will start to lift, and you'll experience moments of clarity. You'll see that when your mind is in harmony, so too is the world around you. So ask yourself, are you ready to take the first step toward a life of peace, balance, and real transformation? Let's begin. As we begin this journey, consider how deeply our inner world is woven into the fabric of the world around us. You've been led to believe that changing the world starts with grand gestures or sweeping actions, yet Buddhism offers us a different path. It shows us that true peace isn't found by fixing the world first. It starts by fixing ourselves, nurturing our own minds. The threads of a peaceful society aren't visible at first, but they are there, silently connecting us all. In this chapter, we'll explore how each thought, each moment of mental clarity, and each act of mindfulness creates ripples that extend far beyond ourselves. It's time to uncover the invisible threads that link personal well-being to global harmony. A harmonious mind is not just about personal peace, it's the cornerstone of peace in the world. When you care for your mind, when you nourish it with wisdom, compassion, and mindfulness, you lay the foundation for a world where understanding, empathy, and cooperation can thrive. Buddhist teachings emphasize that our minds are not separate from the world. They are an intrinsic part of it. Each individual's mental state contributes to the collective consciousness of society. This interconnectedness is often overlooked, but the truth is undeniable. When one person heals, it can spark a wave of healing in others. A clear mind, free from the clutter of negative thoughts, allows space for love and understanding to grow. This shift within you doesn't only affect you, it touches everyone around you, shaping the way we all interact with each other. Buddhism teaches us that the mind is like a garden. If left untended, it will become overrun with weeds, resentment, anger, fear, and confusion. These mental weeds not only cloud our judgment, but also poison the energy we send into the world. However, when we take the time to nurture our minds, when we tend to our thoughts with care, we begin to create a different kind of garden, one that blooms with compassion, clarity, and kindness. Just as a garden nurtures the plants within it, a peaceful mind nurtures those it encounters. You'll notice that as your mind quiets, the world around you feels calmer, more manageable. And this isn't mere coincidence. Your internal state has a direct impact on the energy you project, which in turn influences others. When we consider the interconnectedness of all things, we can no longer view personal mental well-being as a solitary pursuit. We can no longer think of our minds as isolated from the broader world. In Buddhist philosophy, this is known as interdependence, the idea that nothing exists in isolation. Every action, every thought, has an impact that ripples through the world. When you bring your mind into alignment with the present moment, you contribute to a collective peace. Your peacefulness becomes contagious, spreading to those around you, creating a web of understanding that extends far beyond your immediate circle. This is the power of mental harmony. It connects us to the greater whole. Consider for a moment the profound effect that a moment of stillness has. In a world that is perpetually noisy, the simple act of quieting your mind can feel revolutionary. Silence is not empty. It is full of potential. A mind at rest is a fertile ground for wisdom and compassion to take root. And as these qualities grow within you, they radiate outward, touching others in ways you may never fully realize. The harmony within your mind can become the spark for global peace, creating a resonance that reverberates far and wide. It's easy to overlook the power of our internal state, especially when the world outside feels chaotic. But Buddhism teaches us that true transformation starts within. If we want to change the world, we must first change the way we engage with our minds. When we transform ourselves, when we learn to cultivate mindfulness, compassion, and understanding, we contribute to the collective healing of society. The peace we seek in the world begins in our own hearts and minds. The truth is that our mental well-being is not just a personal matter, it is a collective responsibility. By turning inward and focusing on our mental health, we also nurture the well-being of those around us. This is the invisible thread that connects us all. The peace we cultivate within ourselves has the power to create waves of peace that ripple outward. The more we heal, the more others are drawn to that healing. And the more we share this peace, the more we contribute to a world that reflects it. In this way, the harmony of one mind can lead to the harmony of many, weaving a tapestry of peace that spans across communities, nations, and even the entire world. When we look at the teachings of the Buddha, we see a clear call to transform our minds in order to transform the world. The Buddha spoke often about the nature of suffering, about how our attachments and desires create conflict and division. But he also spoke of a path that leads beyond suffering, a path that begins with the mind. By mastering our thoughts, by releasing our attachments and aversions, we can achieve a state of equanimity that not only benefits us, but the world around us. In this state, we are no longer driven by external circumstances. Instead, we act with wisdom and compassion, recognizing our interconnectedness with all beings. Through meditation, mindfulness, and right action, we can start to unravel the knots of suffering that bind us. As we release these inner tensions, we create space for peace, not only within ourselves, but in the world we inhabit. Every act of mindfulness becomes a thread in the tapestry of global peace. Every moment of compassion, a building block for a more harmonious world. The more we learn to live with awareness, the more we contribute to the collective awakening of humanity. This process is not instant. It requires patience, persistence, and practice. But the beauty of this journey is that every small step you take toward mental clarity brings you closer to a life of peace. And as you walk this path, you'll begin to notice that the world around you shifts. People respond to you differently. conversations become deeper, more meaningful, conflicts resolve with more ease. This is the power of a harmonious mind. It transforms not only you, but the world you touch. As we continue on this path of self-awareness, it's important to remember that this is not a selfish pursuit. The work you do within yourself directly impacts the world. It's a profound truth. When we focus on cultivating peace within, we are also creating the conditions for peace in the world. The more individuals who walk this path of mindfulness, the greater the collective shift toward global harmony. A harmonious mind doesn't simply exist in isolation. It is a force that interacts with and influences the world around it. When we bring peace into our thoughts, we create peace in our actions. And when our actions reflect peace, they inspire others to act with the same sense of calm and compassion. In this way, the invisible threads of personal mental well-being weave a broader tapestry of peace, connecting us all in a shared sense of harmony. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that peace must come from external changes, from political movements, or from societal shifts. But the truth is, lasting peace begins in the heart and mind of the individual. The more we focus on cultivating our own mental well-being, the more we contribute to the collective peace of society. Our inner harmony is the foundation upon which the world's peace is built. And as we continue to nurture that harmony, we weave invisible threads that bind us together, creating a world of greater understanding, empathy, and unity. By taking care of our minds, we are not only improving ourselves, but the world at large. Every thought, every intention, and every action has the potential to influence the broader society. When we engage in mindful practices, we begin to dismantle the mental barriers that divide us. We start to recognize the interconnectedness of all beings, and in doing so, we lay the groundwork for a more peaceful world. This is the transformative power of a harmonious mind, its ability to create global change, one thought at a time. So, as we continue on this path, let's remember that our inner work is never just for ourselves. It is a gift to the world. By tending to our minds, we are also tending to the collective well-being of society. And in doing so, we become part of the invisible threads that bind us all together, creating a world of peace, understanding, and harmony. When we take care of our minds, we truly take care of the world. And that is a responsibility that each of us carries, a responsibility that has the power to change the world for the better. This is the beauty of the Buddhist teachings. They remind us that the world we see is a reflection of our inner state. When we transform our minds, we transform the world. And through this transformation, we become part of a collective shift toward peace, a peace that begins within each of us and spreads outward, touching every corner of the world. It's a process that takes time, but the more we invest in our mental well-being, the more we invest in a peaceful world. And in the end, that is the greatest gift we can offer, not only to ourselves, but to the world at large. As we move forward from understanding how a harmonious mind contributes to global peace, we begin to touch on a deeper, often quieter revolution, one that starts within us. It's the revolution of mindfulness, a shift that doesn't shout for attention, but quietly transforms the fabric of society. In a world that is constantly changing, where the noise is relentless and the demands never cease, There's a subtle yet powerful practice that has the potential to change everything: mindfulness. This practice, rooted in Buddhist teachings, holds the power to revolutionize not just our personal lives, but the entire world. When we cultivate inner stillness, we are not just creating peace within, we are also contributing to a global shift toward awareness, understanding, and compassion. This journey is not about grand actions, it's about the small, intentional shifts in our inner world that reverberate outward, creating a ripple effect that touches every corner of life. Mindfulness, at its core, is the art of being fully present in each moment, free from the distractions of past regrets or future worries. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, where we are constantly juggling tasks, goals, and expectations, mindfulness offers us a much-needed pause, a chance to breathe and simply be. It's easy to overlook this practice because it doesn't promise immediate change or instant gratification. Yet, it is in these moments of stillness that we unlock a deeper power, one that can change not just how we experience life, but how we impact the world around us. The beauty of mindfulness lies in its simplicity and its profound ability to influence every aspect of our lives. When we practice mindfulness, we cultivate a heightened awareness of our thoughts, emotions, and actions. We begin to notice the subtle shifts within ourselves, the tension in our bodies, the negative patterns in our thoughts, and the reactions we have to the people and situations around us. This heightened awareness is not something we force. It's an invitation to be with ourselves in a more intimate and compassionate way. Over time, this practice creates a shift in our mental landscape. It brings us into the present moment, allowing us to respond to life rather than react to it. This shift is not only personal, it ripples outward, influencing how we relate to others and how we engage with the world. Mindfulness isn't about making everything perfect or eliminating every negative emotion. Rather, it's about embracing life as it comes, accepting the good, the bad, and the messy parts of it all. By practicing mindfulness, we learn to let go of our attachment to the past and the future. We stop being prisoners of our own thoughts and stories, and instead, we start living more freely, more fully. This kind of internal shift leads to a deeper sense of peace and calm, a sense of groundedness that comes from being fully present in each moment. But the impact of mindfulness doesn't end with the individual. The changes we make internally influence the world around us. Every moment of mindfulness, every breath we take with full awareness, sends ripples through our interactions with others. In a world filled with distractions, where people are often caught up in their own inner turmoil, mindfulness acts as a stabilizing force. It allows us to listen more attentively, speak more compassionately, and act with more intention. The simple act of being present in a conversation, for example, can transform an interaction. We move from reacting to responding, from being emotionally triggered to responding with calm and understanding. This shift creates a space for deeper connections, better communication, and more meaningful relationships. The effects of mindfulness extend beyond individual interactions. As we cultivate mindfulness, we begin to see the interconnectedness of all things. We start to recognize that our actions, thoughts, and words have far-reaching consequences. We are no longer isolated individuals, but part of a larger web of existence. When we practice mindfulness, we acknowledge that our well-being is tied to the well-being of others, and that the peace we cultivate within ourselves is reflected in the peace we contribute to the world. This realization creates a deeper sense of responsibility, not only to ourselves, but to the world we inhabit. Mindfulness allows us to live more consciously, making decisions that are not just in our own best interest, but in the best interest of the greater whole. Mindfulness also helps us navigate the challenges of life with greater resilience. Life isn't always easy, and we all face moments of difficulty, loss, and uncertainty. Mindfulness doesn't promise to eliminate these challenges, but it does offer a way to move through them with greater ease. By training our minds to be present and aware, we can learn to accept whatever comes our way without being overwhelmed by it. Mindfulness teaches us that we don't need to resist life's difficulties. Instead, we can meet them with a sense of openness and acceptance. This shift in perspective allows us to face challenges with greater clarity and wisdom, turning adversity into an opportunity for growth. As we continue to practice mindfulness, we begin to see the subtle shifts in our mental landscape that lead to greater peace and understanding. These shifts accumulate over time, creating a transformation that extends far beyond our personal lives. Mindfulness has the power to change the way we view the world, to open our hearts to the suffering of others, and to inspire us to act with compassion and kindness. It encourages us to approach life with a sense of curiosity and openness rather than judgment or fear. In doing so, mindfulness not only transforms the individual, but the collective consciousness of society. When more and more people begin to practice mindfulness, the collective shift becomes undeniable. The world begins to change, slowly but surely, as each person's internal shift contributes to the global transformation. This is the quiet revolution of mindfulness. It is not a loud, explosive change. It is a gentle, steady shift that takes place over time. It's a revolution of awareness, presence, and connection. A revolution that begins within and extends outward. Each moment of mindfulness creates a space for peace to enter the world, for compassion to grow, and for understanding to flourish. It's a revolution that doesn't need to be loud, because its power lies in its subtlety. As more individuals awaken to the power of mindfulness, the collective consciousness shifts, creating a world that is more peaceful, compassionate, and connected. Mindfulness has the ability to bridge the gaps that divide us. In a world marked by division and conflict, mindfulness provides a way to see beyond the surface, to look deeper into the heart of what connects us. It teaches us to listen, to understand, and to act with kindness. It reminds us that we are not separate from each other, but interconnected in ways that are often invisible to the eye. When we practice mindfulness, we create a space for empathy and compassion to flourish, and in doing so, we create a world that reflects those qualities. The revolution of mindfulness is one that starts with the individual, but extends to the collective. It's a quiet, inner shift that ripples outward, creating waves of change in our relationships, communities, and the world at large. As we cultivate mindfulness, we become part of a larger movement, a movement that is changing the world, one moment at a time. This revolution isn't about loud protests or dramatic gestures. It's about the quiet, consistent practice of being present and aware in each moment. It's about the small shifts that over time create a profound impact on the world. Mindfulness is a powerful tool for global change, but it requires patience and commitment. It's easy to become discouraged when change doesn't come quickly, but the truth is that transformation takes time. Just as a seed takes time to grow into a tree, mindfulness requires consistent practice and nurturing. But with each moment of presence, each moment of stillness, we are planting seeds of change. And as these seeds grow, they begin to create a world that is more compassionate, more understanding, and more connected. This quiet revolution is available to anyone willing to embrace it. It doesn't require grand gestures or extraordinary abilities. All it takes is the willingness to be present, to pay attention, and to show up for life in a more intentional way. As you continue to cultivate mindfulness, you will begin to see the transformation within yourself and the world around you. And in doing so, you will become part of a revolution that is changing the world, one mindful moment at a time. So, as you continue to walk this path, remember that your practice of mindfulness is not just a personal journey. It is a journey that contributes to the collective awakening of humanity. The world is shifting, and mindfulness is at the heart of that change. It is a quiet revolution, but it is one that has the power to reshape the world in profound ways. As we shift from the quiet revolution of mindfulness, where we explore the power of inner stillness to change the world, we now turn our attention to a practice that goes hand in hand with mindfulness, self-care. But this is not self-care in the conventional sense, focused on luxury or comfort. It is rooted in the profound wisdom of Buddhism, where self-care is seen not just as a personal benefit, but as a contribution to the collective well-being. Through the practice of the Dharma, Buddhist teachings and principles, we learn that taking care of ourselves is not selfish. In fact, it is a sacred responsibility that elevates not only our lives, but also the lives of others around us. When we embody the Dharma in our daily actions, we begin a process of transformation that ripples out, affecting the collective consciousness and creating a society rooted in compassion, peace, and wisdom. Self-care in this context is about cultivating the mind, body, and spirit in a way that allows us to be fully present, aligned with our deepest values, and in tune with the world around us. It is not a passive act, but an active and intentional practice, one that requires self-awareness and mindfulness at every turn. Buddhism teaches us that by taking care of ourselves, we are, in essence, taking care of the world. The idea of self-care becomes a radical act when viewed through the lens of Buddhist principles, for it is the foundation upon which we can elevate our collective consciousness. The Dharma invites us to reflect on our own well-being, not from a place of self-indulgence, but from a place of self-respect and balance. When we practice the Dharma, we engage in self-care as a way of preparing ourselves to be better individuals in society. We are not isolating ourselves in our pursuit of inner peace. Instead, we are sharpening our tools so we can better serve others and contribute meaningfully to the world. As we begin to practice self-care through the Dharma, we become more attuned to our own needs, and in doing so, we recognize the needs of others. We begin to understand that our well-being is intertwined with the well-being of the collective, and that true fulfillment comes not from individual achievement, but from contributing to the greater good. Buddhist teachings offer us a path to self-care that is both holistic and transformative. In the Buddhist tradition, self-care is about cultivating awareness, nurturing the mind and body, and practicing compassion toward ourselves. It involves taking time for reflection, mindfulness, and meditation, which help to heal the wounds of the past, ground us in the present, and provide clarity for the future. When we embody these teachings, we create space for healing and growth, not only for ourselves, but for those around us. One of the most powerful aspects of Buddhist self-care is the focus on mental health. In our fast-paced world, we often neglect the importance of tending to our minds. Yet, Buddhist wisdom emphasizes that the mind is the source of all suffering and joy. By practicing mental self-care, we clear the mind of clutter, confusion, and negativity. This allows us to approach life with clarity, compassion, and balance. When we are in touch with our mental state, we are able to respond to life's challenges with wisdom rather than reacting out of fear or stress. As we tend to our minds with loving kindness, we create a foundation for peace within ourselves and in the world. Physical self-care, too, plays an integral role in embodying the Dharma. Buddhism teaches us that the body is a vessel for the mind and spirit, and taking care of it is essential for overall well-being. The body is not separate from the mind. It is intricately connected. This understanding invites us to treat our bodies with respect and care. Physical health allows us to engage fully with life and the world around us, enabling us to serve others in meaningful ways. Through mindful eating, regular movement, and rest, we honor our physical selves as temples of the mind, nurturing the energy we need to live with intention and purpose. Perhaps the most transformative aspect of Buddhist self-care is the cultivation of compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves. In a world that often demands perfection, it's easy to fall into the trap of self-criticism and judgment. Buddhism teaches us that compassion is not just for others. It is a vital part of self-care. We must learn to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we offer to others. When we practice self-compassion, we remove the harsh inner critic and replace it with loving kindness. This shift creates space for healing and growth. As we learn to love ourselves, we naturally extend that love to others, elevating the collective consciousness in the process. The act of embodying the Dharma through self-care is a powerful tool for social transformation. When we take care of ourselves, we are better equipped to take care of others. By nurturing our own well-being, we contribute to the well-being of society as a whole. This is how Buddhist self-care goes beyond individual practice. It becomes a collective force for good. When we are grounded in self-awareness, mental clarity, and compassion, we are able to act with wisdom and kindness in the world. Our actions, big and small, begin to reflect the values of peace, love, and understanding. This, in turn, influences the collective mindset, shifting society toward a more compassionate and harmonious way of living. This process is subtle, but its impact is profound. When we begin to embody the Dharma, we align ourselves with a larger force of transformation. Self-care becomes a way of life, a practice that doesn't end when we leave our meditation cushions, but extends into every moment. By practicing mindfulness in our daily lives, we become more attuned to the needs of those around us. We begin to see others through the lens of compassion, recognizing their struggles and offering support. This shift in perspective, this shift in how we see and relate to others, has the power to change the fabric of society itself. As we practice self-care, we also begin to shed the layers of ego and attachment that bind us to the illusion of separateness. Buddhism teaches us that all beings are interconnected, and as we take care of ourselves, we are contributing to the collective well-being of humanity. When we release our attachment to the notion of self and embrace the interdependent nature of life, we begin to see that our individual happiness is tied to the happiness of others. By practicing self-care, we align ourselves with the collective consciousness, contributing to a more peaceful, compassionate world. Self-care is not a selfish pursuit. It is a radical act of love. Love for ourselves, for others, and for the world we share. It is through this practice that we begin to embody the values of the Dharma: peace, love, compassion, and wisdom in every aspect of our lives. When we take care of ourselves, we elevate not only our own consciousness, but also the consciousness of those around us. This creates a ripple effect, spreading positivity, healing, and understanding throughout society. The collective mindset begins to shift, and a new way of being emerges, one rooted in the wisdom of the Dharma and the practice of self-care. As we continue to practice self-care through the Dharma, we become catalysts for social change. Our personal transformation inspires others to embark on their own journeys of healing and growth. Through the practice of self-care, we learn to act from a place of balance and harmony, creating a ripple effect that transforms the world. The more we embody the Dharma, the more we contribute to the collective awakening of humanity. This process is not immediate, but its impact is profound. When we take care of ourselves, we are not just elevating our own consciousness, but the consciousness of the world. This is the power of self-care. It is the foundation upon which societal transformation is built. As we learn to care for ourselves, we elevate the collective consciousness, contributing to a world rooted in peace, love, and wisdom. As we continue from exploring how embodying the Dharma through self-care elevates not just the individual but the collective consciousness, we now turn to an often overlooked but incredibly powerful practice: silence. In a world that thrives on constant noise, distractions, and relentless activity, silence may seem counterintuitive. Yet, when we look at Buddhist teachings, we find that silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of clarity. It's a tool for detoxifying the mind and a pathway to profound inner peace. The practice of silence is transformative, both for our personal well-being and for the way we engage with the world around us. Silence, when approached with mindfulness and intention, has the power to calm the mind, restore balance, and shift our perspective on life. Silence, in the Buddhist tradition, is not just about avoiding noise, but about creating space within. It's the process of peeling back the layers of distraction and delusion that cloud our perception, allowing us to see things as they truly are. In the constant whirlwind of thoughts, emotions, and external stimuli, silence offers us a refuge. It provides an opportunity to step back, detach, and reconnect with our deepest sense of self. This act of inner stillness is not passive. It's an active engagement with the present moment, a deep listening to the rhythms of our mind and heart, unclouded by external forces. As we embrace silence, we begin to cultivate a profound sense of awareness, an awareness that detoxifies the mind and clears the path for clarity, peace, and wisdom to emerge. One of the most powerful aspects of silence is its ability to bring us back to ourselves. We live in a world where we are constantly bombarded by the opinions, expectations, and demands of others. In this noise, it becomes difficult to hear our own thoughts and desires. Silence allows us to tune in to the subtle currents of our own being. It helps us reconnect with our intuition, our inner wisdom, and our true nature. When we sit in silence, we are not just quieting the external world, we are also quieting the inner chatter that constantly pulls us away from the present. The more we practice silence, the more we begin to understand that our true power lies not in what we say or do, but in what we allow ourselves to become through stillness. This process of detoxification is essential for mental and emotional health. In the absence of constant mental noise, we begin to clear out the unnecessary thoughts, worries, and distractions that have accumulated over time. Our minds become less cluttered, and we gain a greater sense of mental clarity. This clarity allows us to see the world and ourselves more clearly. We can begin to discern between what is truly important and what is simply a product of habitual thinking. In this space of silence, we begin to let go of the mental patterns and beliefs that no longer serve us, creating room for new insights and perspectives to arise. The effect of silence extends beyond the mind. It influences the way we interact with the world and the people around us. In our daily interactions, we are often caught in a cycle of reacting to external stimuli. Our responses are shaped by our past experiences, our fears, and our expectations. Silence, however, allows us to break free from this automatic pattern of reaction. When we practice silence, we create space between stimulus and response. This space allows us to respond more thoughtfully, with greater compassion and understanding, rather than merely reacting out of habit or emotion. In this way, silence becomes a powerful tool for transforming our relationships with others. It helps us to be more present, more attuned to the needs of those around us, and more mindful of how our words and actions affect others. The practice of silence also plays a crucial role in emotional regulation. In a society that often encourages us to suppress or ignore our emotions, silence provides a safe space for us to acknowledge and process them. When we are silent, we allow ourselves to fully experience our feelings without judgment or distraction. This process of emotional awareness helps us to understand the root causes of our emotions, making it easier to navigate difficult situations with calm and clarity. By allowing ourselves to sit with our emotions in silence, we also give ourselves the opportunity to heal. We learn to accept our emotions without letting them control us, creating a sense of inner peace and emotional balance. As we cultivate silence, we also begin to notice the subtle ways in which we influence the world around us. When we are constantly caught in the noise of our own thoughts and the chaos of the external world, we become disconnected from the interconnectedness of all things. Silence reconnects us to this web of existence. It helps us realize that our actions, words, and thoughts are not isolated. They are part of a larger flow of energy that affects everything and everyone around us. The more we practice silence, the more we begin to see how our individual peace contributes to the collective peace. Just as a single pebble creates ripples in a pond, our inner silence sends ripples into the world, influencing the people and environments we interact with. This realization highlights the importance of personal responsibility in creating a more harmonious society. As we cultivate peace within ourselves, we naturally contribute to a more peaceful world. The act of silence also allows us to engage with the world in a more mindful way. Rather than being swept away by the currents of distraction and confusion, we begin to approach life with greater intentionality. Silence teaches us to be present in each moment, to engage with life fully without rushing or forcing. It encourages us to appreciate the beauty of the present moment, to find peace in the simplicity of what is. In a world that often prizes constant activity and achievement, silence offers us an alternative, a way of being that is grounded, centered, and connected to the flow of life. By embracing silence, we learn to live more fully, with greater awareness and presence. In Buddhist teachings, silence is also a form of meditation. It is a practice that allows us to turn inward, to quiet the mind, and to connect with our deepest selves. Through meditation, we enter a state of profound stillness, where we can observe the patterns of our thoughts and emotions without attachment. This practice of detachment helps us to cultivate a deeper sense of equanimity, allowing us to face life's challenges with greater composure and balance. Meditation, like silence, is not about escaping the world, but about engaging with it from a place of clarity and inner peace. As we meditate in silence, we learn to observe the world without being consumed by it, creating space for wisdom, compassion, and insight to arise. The more we practice silence, the more we begin to see its transformative power. It is not just a tool for personal growth, but a means of contributing to the collective well-being of society. Through silence, we detoxify our minds, heal our emotions, and transform our relationships with others. We create space for deeper connection, more thoughtful action, and greater understanding. As we embody silence in our lives, we become beacons of peace, guiding others toward greater awareness and harmony. This process is gradual, but its effects are profound. Each moment of silence contributes to the creation of a more peaceful world, one thought, one action, and one person at a time. The alchemy of silence is not about achieving perfection or escaping the world. It is about creating space for transformation. When we quiet the noise within, we unlock the potential for profound change, both in ourselves and in the world around us. Silence is a powerful tool for detoxifying the mind, healing the heart, and fostering connection. It is the key to unlocking deeper peace, wisdom, and compassion, both individually and collectively. As we continue to embrace silence, we contribute to a world that is more present, more mindful, and more compassionate. Through the practice of inner quiet, we become part of a greater movement, one that transforms not only the way we experience life, but the way we engage with the world. Having explored the transformative power of silence in detoxifying the mind and shaping our interactions with the world, we now turn our focus to something even more profound: the connection between personal healing and collective growth. In the previous discussions, we touched on how practices like mindfulness, silence, and self-care offer incredible benefits, not just for the individual, but for the broader world. Now, we dig deeper into the Buddhist perspective on personal healing, understanding that focusing on one's mental health is not an isolated act, but a crucial step in healing the collective consciousness. The healing of one has the potential to heal many. This ripple effect is not only a philosophical concept, it's a powerful tool for societal transformation. When we talk about mental health and healing from a Buddhist perspective, it's not merely about removing discomfort or managing stress. It's about understanding that our mental well-being is deeply interconnected with the world around us. Buddhism teaches that the mind is the source of both our suffering and our happiness. And when we cultivate peace within, we directly contribute to the peace of those around us. Each positive mental shift we make, whether it's overcoming a limiting belief, letting go of anger, or practicing compassion, sends ripples outward, affecting not just our own lives, but the lives of everyone we encounter. The key to this idea lies in the Buddhist concept of interdependence, the understanding that everything in the universe is connected. Our thoughts, actions, and even our emotions are not isolated phenomena. They are inextricably linked to the world around us. The state of our minds doesn't only affect us, it also shapes how we perceive and interact with others. The more we focus on our mental health and healing, the more we contribute to the collective well-being of society. Personal healing is, in a sense, social healing. As we work on ourselves, we also work on the world. By improving our mental health, we begin to see the world differently. We start to notice the subtle ways in which our thoughts and actions impact others. In moments of calm and clarity, we can make decisions with greater wisdom and compassion. Our ability to engage with the world from a place of understanding rather than reactivity has a profound effect on our relationships and, by extension, on society as a whole. This shift in perspective is the cornerstone of collective growth. It begins within and expands outward. Mental health, from a Buddhist point of view, isn't just about individual peace. It's also about creating harmony within the community. When we focus on healing ourselves by releasing attachment, cultivating mindfulness, and practicing compassion, we contribute to a collective consciousness that is more balanced and compassionate. The ripple effect of our individual healing is powerful. Every time we respond to a situation with understanding instead of anger, or when we forgive instead of hold on to resentment, we not only change ourselves, but we influence the dynamics of those around us. This process of healing has a cumulative effect. When one person heals, others around them are encouraged to do the same. The energy of peace and compassion we emit encourages others to engage in their own healing journeys. By focusing on our own mental health, we set an example for others and create a wave of healing that spreads throughout our communities. The impact of this collective growth cannot be overstated. As each person works on their own mental well-being, they contribute to a world that is more compassionate, more mindful, and more connected. But personal healing doesn't just change our relationships with others, it transforms our relationship with the world itself. When we heal, we begin to approach life with a sense of trust and openness. We no longer feel that we need to protect ourselves from the world because we understand that our well-being is not dependent on external circumstances, but on our ability to respond to those circumstances with wisdom and compassion. This shift allows us to engage with life more fully, to take on challenges with a sense of calm, and to approach others with a deep sense of empathy. Furthermore, focusing on mental health allows us to release the patterns of suffering that have been passed down through generations. The concept of generational trauma is a reality for many families and communities. We carry the emotional scars of our ancestors, and these scars affect the way we view the world and interact with others. When we heal ourselves, we begin to break these cycles. We heal not just for ourselves, but for future generations. Each act of personal healing has the potential to release generations of suffering, creating a healthier foundation for those who come after us. The Buddhist practice of self-awareness and mindfulness plays a significant role in this healing process. Mindfulness teaches us to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment, creating space for healing to occur. When we become aware of our internal states, we can begin to address the root causes of our suffering rather than just masking the symptoms. This process allows us to work through our emotions and thoughts in a healthy, productive way. Instead of becoming overwhelmed by stress or anxiety, we learn to recognize these emotions, sit with them, and understand where they come from. This process of inquiry and self-compassion leads to a deep sense of healing that has a lasting impact not only on ourselves, but on the world around us. As we focus on our mental health, we begin to shift from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. In a world where we are often taught to compete for resources, attention, and success, the Buddhist perspective offers a radical shift. Healing doesn't come from achieving more or gaining power over others. It comes from the realization that peace and happiness are available to us in every moment. When we heal, we realize that we do not need to fight for our place in the world. We can live in harmony with others. This understanding shifts the dynamics of our interactions. Instead of competing, we collaborate. Instead of viewing others as obstacles to our success, we see them as fellow travelers on the path. This shift in perspective has a profound impact on how we engage with the world. Through personal healing, we also gain a deeper understanding of compassion and empathy. Buddhism teaches that compassion is not just a feeling, but a practice. As we heal ourselves, we develop a greater capacity for compassion toward others. We begin to understand that everyone is suffering in some way, and that healing is a universal process. The more we focus on our own healing, the more we become aware of the suffering of others. This awareness allows us to approach others with kindness and understanding rather than judgment or indifference. As we heal, we become better equipped to help others on their own journeys. This collective growth is the essence of Buddhism's teachings. Healing is not just for the individual, but for the world. By focusing on personal healing, we also begin to recognize the importance of community in the healing process. Healing is not a solitary endeavor. It is a shared experience that requires support, understanding, and connection. When we focus on our mental health, we become part of a community that values healing and growth. We begin to understand that our well-being is intertwined with the well-being of others. We become more engaged in the world, more willing to contribute to the collective good. As we heal, we become agents of change, spreading peace, love, and understanding wherever we go. As we continue to focus on our mental health, we begin to realize that true healing is not just about feeling better, it's about becoming better. It's about becoming more compassionate, more mindful, and more connected to the world around us. The Buddhist path teaches us that personal healing is a journey toward wholeness, and that this journey is never complete. Every step we take toward healing is a step toward collective growth. As we heal ourselves, we contribute to the healing of the world. This process is gradual, but its impact is profound. Each person who works on their mental health and healing contributes to a world that is more compassionate, more connected, and more at peace. Through our personal growth, we create a ripple effect that transforms the world. The more we focus on our own mental well-being, the more we contribute to the collective well-being of humanity. Personal healing is not just about improving the individual, it's about improving the world. Through this process, we become part of a greater movement, one that is focused on healing, growth, and transformation for all. As we've seen, the journey of personal healing doesn't stop with the individual. It extends outward, creating a ripple effect that can transform communities and the world itself. This realization brings us to another profound truth. The smallest shifts in our inner world can lead to monumental changes in the outer world. In the previous discussions, we've explored how our personal healing and actions influence the collective consciousness. Now, we dive deeper into how subtle inner changes, those seemingly insignificant adjustments in perception, thought patterns, and actions, hold the power to create global harmony. These small shifts, inspired by Buddhist teachings, may appear minor, but in reality, they are the building blocks of transformation, capable of altering the course of our lives and, ultimately, the world. The concept of subtle shifts is rooted deeply in Buddhism, where the focus is often on cultivating a mind that is free from attachment, aversion, and delusion. This might seem like a slow and painstaking process, but Buddhism teaches us that even the smallest changes in how we think or perceive can lead to profound results. Just as a tiny drop of water, over time, can erode a mountain, so too can small changes in our thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors gradually lead to a significant transformation in the way we experience life and the way we interact with the world. At the core of these subtle shifts is the understanding that our minds are not static. They are constantly changing and evolving. In Buddhism, this is known as the principle of impermanence, the idea that everything is in a constant state of flux. Every thought we have, every emotion we experience, and every action we take is a part of this ongoing process. By becoming more aware of these fluctuations, we can begin to shift our responses in a way that aligns more with our true nature. Instead of reacting out of habit or unconscious conditioning, we can choose to respond with greater awareness, clarity, and compassion. This shift in awareness doesn't require grand gestures. It's about making tiny, intentional changes in how we engage with the world. These subtle shifts in perception have a far-reaching impact. When we change the way we perceive ourselves, others, and the world, we begin to alter the very lens through which we view reality. For example, a simple shift from seeing others as competitors to seeing them as fellow travelers on the same path can transform our relationships. We no longer view them with suspicion or fear, but with empathy and understanding. This shift in perception not only improves our interactions, but fosters a sense of unity and collaboration, which is crucial for creating global harmony. Another powerful shift involves changing the way we approach our thoughts. We often find ourselves caught in cycles of negativity or self-criticism, replaying past mistakes or worrying about the future. These thought patterns drain our energy and cloud our judgment, preventing us from experiencing peace in the present moment. Buddhism teaches that our thoughts are like clouds in the sky, fleeting and ever-changing. By learning to observe our thoughts without getting attached to them, we can begin to break free from these limiting mental patterns. This shift from identifying with our thoughts to simply observing them can lead to a profound sense of freedom and peace. It's in this freedom that we find the power to respond to the world with more wisdom and less reactivity. The power of subtle shifts is not limited to mental processes alone. Our actions, too, can be transformed through small, intentional changes. In Buddhism, the practice of right action emphasizes acting in ways that are aligned with our deepest values: compassion, honesty, and integrity. Right action doesn't require us to make dramatic sacrifices or change the world overnight. It's about choosing to act with kindness, to speak with honesty, and to live in harmony with the principles of the Dharma. When we make these small, everyday choices, we begin to create a life that is in alignment with our values. Over time, these small actions accumulate, contributing to a world that reflects peace, understanding, and compassion. One of the most significant aspects of these small shifts is their ability to create a ripple effect. Just as a single pebble can create ripples on the surface of a pond, our thoughts, words, and actions have the power to affect the world in ways we may not even fully understand. This ripple effect occurs on both a personal and a collective level. When we shift our perception, we influence the way we interact with others. When we act with kindness and understanding, we inspire those around us to do the same. And as more and more people begin to make these subtle shifts, the collective consciousness begins to change. What starts as a single shift in one person's mind can eventually lead to a wave of change that spreads throughout communities, countries, and even the entire world. This process of transformation through subtle shifts is not only about changing our internal state, but also about changing how we engage with the external world. In Buddhism, this is reflected in the practice of right mindfulness, the ability to be fully present and aware in each moment. By cultivating mindfulness, we begin to notice the small ways in which we can make a difference in our daily lives. Perhaps it's choosing to be more patient with a loved one, or choosing to speak with compassion in a difficult situation. These small acts of mindfulness, though they may seem insignificant in the moment, accumulate over time, creating a profound shift in how we relate to others and to the world. When we live with mindfulness, we are more likely to act with intention, to make decisions that are aligned with our values, and to contribute to the collective well-being. The impact of these subtle shifts can be seen in how they affect our relationships. As we begin to change our inner landscape, we notice that our interactions with others become more harmonious. Small shifts in how we communicate, listening more attentively, responding with empathy, or offering a simple gesture of kindness, can have a lasting impact on our relationships. In Buddhism, this is referred to as right speech, speaking in a way that is truthful, kind, and beneficial. By practicing right speech, we contribute to creating a space where understanding, respect, and compassion can thrive. This shift not only improves our personal relationships, but also fosters a sense of connection and unity that extends to the larger community. Subtle shifts also play a critical role in addressing the challenges we face as a global community. In a world that is increasingly divided, these small changes can create a foundation for greater unity. As we work on shifting our own perceptions and thought patterns, we contribute to a collective shift toward peace, cooperation, and mutual respect. Every act of kindness, every moment of mindfulness, and every shift toward a more compassionate worldview has the potential to contribute to global harmony. When more individuals engage in these subtle shifts, the collective energy of the world begins to shift as well. This power of small changes is rooted in the Buddhist principle of interdependence. The realization that all things are interconnected is central to Buddhist philosophy. Our actions, thoughts, and words don't exist in isolation. They are part of a larger web of existence. When we shift our internal state, we affect the external world. These small changes in how we think, how we act, and how we perceive the world contribute to a global movement toward harmony and peace. The more we align ourselves with the principles of the Dharma, mindfulness, compassion, and right action, the more we contribute to creating a world that reflects these values. In this way, the subtle shifts we make within ourselves are not just personal changes, they are part of a greater transformation. The power of these shifts lies in their ability to create ripple effects that extend far beyond the individual. As we change, the world changes with us. And as more people embrace these small changes, the collective consciousness begins to shift toward a more compassionate, peaceful, and interconnected world. This process, though gradual, holds the power to transform society. What starts as a small shift in one person's mind can ultimately lead to monumental changes in the world. Having explored how subtle shifts in perception, thought patterns, and actions can create a ripple effect leading to global harmony, we now arrive at a deeper layer of transformation. It is one thing to change our thoughts and behaviors, but what happens when we seek liberation from the very mental constraints that keep us tied to external circumstances? True freedom does not lie in changing the world around us. It begins with liberating our minds. This is where the Buddhist teachings on inner mental liberation come into play, offering a profound path to outer freedom, not just for the individual, but for entire communities. When we free ourselves from the limitations of fear, attachment, and ego, we unlock the potential for true empowerment, both personally and collectively. At the heart of Buddhist philosophy is the realization that the mind shapes our experience of reality. The way we interpret events, interact with others, and respond to life's challenges is all determined by the state of our minds. If we are bound by fear, anxiety, and attachment, we experience a life of limitation. But when we release these mental shackles, when we liberate ourselves from the internal obstacles that cloud our judgment and restrict our actions, we open ourselves to a greater sense of freedom. This inner liberation allows us to step into the world with a new perspective, free from the mental chains that once held us back. Inner mental liberation is the practice of freeing the mind from the attachments, expectations, and fears that keep us trapped in a cycle of suffering. It is not about avoiding difficulties or trying to escape reality, but rather about learning to respond to life with clarity and wisdom, no longer controlled by negative emotions or conditioned reactions. Buddhism teaches that by transforming our relationship with our thoughts and emotions, we can experience a profound shift in our internal state. We no longer become enslaved by the external circumstances of life, but instead, we take back control of how we experience and respond to them. This shift in mindset is incredibly powerful because it empowers us to live freely, regardless of what is happening in the external world. Most people believe that their circumstances dictate their happiness or sense of well-being. If only they had more money, a better job, or more support, they could finally be free. However, Buddhism teaches that external circumstances are not the true source of freedom. The true freedom lies within the mind. By letting go of the need to control external factors and focusing on transforming our internal state, we can unlock a sense of liberation that is independent of the ever-changing world around us. The practice of inner liberation involves letting go of attachments to our desires, to our expectations, and to our need for validation. Attachment, according to Buddhist teachings, is the root of all suffering. When we are attached to outcomes, possessions, or people, we are subject to constant fluctuations in our emotional state. We become dependent on external circumstances to feel good about ourselves. But when we free ourselves from attachment, we begin to experience a sense of freedom that is not dependent on the ever-changing tides of life. This is the freedom that leads to inner peace, and it is this peace that allows us to face the world with greater confidence, clarity, and compassion. As we liberate our minds, we begin to see the world in a different light. The conflicts and struggles that once seemed overwhelming lose their power over us. We understand that we cannot control everything around us, but we can control how we respond. This realization is incredibly empowering. It enables us to engage with life in a way that is grounded in wisdom rather than fear or reactivity. When we are no longer tethered to our mental limitations, we are free to take action in the world with purpose and clarity. The energy we once spent on worrying, resisting, or fighting against circumstances is now directed toward living more fully and contributing to the well-being of others. This freedom is not only personal, it extends to those around us. As we free ourselves from the mental constraints of fear and attachment, we begin to see others not as obstacles, but as fellow beings on the same journey. The more we practice inner liberation, the more we cultivate compassion, understanding, and empathy for others. We no longer feel the need to compete or compare, but instead we act from a place of cooperation and shared humanity. This shift in perspective has a profound effect on our relationships and, by extension, on the communities we are part of. When individuals begin to practice inner liberation, the collective consciousness also begins to shift, creating a space for greater understanding, collaboration, and peace. Inner liberation is a powerful tool for social transformation. When people free themselves from the mental constraints that limit their potential, they begin to realize their own power to create change. They no longer feel trapped by their circumstances or limited by their fears. Instead, they recognize their ability to shape their own destiny and contribute meaningfully to the world. This sense of empowerment is contagious. As individuals experience the freedom that comes with inner liberation, they inspire others to do the same. The collective impact of this shift in mindset can lead to significant social change as more and more people begin to live with greater awareness, compassion, and a sense of shared responsibility. Buddhist teachings remind us that the liberation of the individual is inseparable from the liberation of the collective. The more we free ourselves from the mental constructs that divide us, fear, greed, judgment, and attachment, the more we open ourselves to the possibility of a harmonious society. As we let go of our need to control, we create space for others to do the same. This collective liberation does not require large-scale movements or dramatic revolutions. It starts with the simple, quiet act of transforming our own minds. Each individual who practices inner liberation contributes to a world that is more peaceful, more compassionate, and more interconnected. This process of inner liberation is not about denying the challenges of life or retreating from the world. It is about facing life's difficulties with a calm mind and a compassionate heart. When we are free from mental attachments, we are able to engage with life as it is, without resistance or fear. This approach to life opens us up to new possibilities and new ways of being. We no longer see the world as something to be conquered or controlled, but as something to be experienced with openness and presence. One of the most transformative aspects of inner liberation is the way it shifts our relationship to suffering. Buddhism teaches that suffering is an inherent part of life, but our attachment to suffering is what causes us to feel trapped. When we liberate our minds, we stop identifying with our pain and begin to see it as an opportunity for growth and transformation. Rather than avoiding or resisting suffering, we learn to face it with acceptance and understanding. This shift allows us to move through life's difficulties with greater ease without being consumed by them. As we develop the ability to sit with discomfort, we realize that suffering is not something that defines us, but something that we can learn to transform. This internal transformation is what gives rise to true external freedom. When we are liberated from our internal constraints, we are free to act in the world with clarity and purpose. Our actions are no longer driven by fear, attachment, or ego, but by a deep sense of wisdom and compassion. We are able to navigate the world with a sense of inner peace, regardless of external circumstances. This peace becomes a foundation for external freedom, a freedom that is not dependent on what is happening around us, but on our ability to remain centered, grounded, and at peace within. Ultimately, the liberation of the individual mind is the first step toward the liberation of society. As more people embrace inner freedom, the world becomes a more compassionate, connected, and harmonious place. Inner mental liberation leads to empowerment, not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us. As we free ourselves from the limitations of the mind, we unlock the potential for true social transformation. When individuals begin to embody this freedom, they contribute to a collective shift toward a world that reflects the values of compassion, understanding, and peace. This transformation is gradual, but its impact is profound. One person's inner liberation can create a wave of change that extends to the entire world. As we've seen, true freedom doesn't come from external changes, but from liberating the mind and cultivating peace within. It's this internal transformation that leads to greater clarity, empowerment, and, ultimately, a more peaceful world. Now, we turn our attention to another crucial aspect of inner freedom: letting go. The Buddhist path teaches us that attachment is at the root of much of our suffering. Whether it's an attachment to material possessions, relationships, status, or even our own identities, these attachments create a sense of clinging that ties us to the past, to expectations, and to desires that can never truly be fulfilled. Releasing these attachments does not mean abandoning our lives or responsibilities, but instead it's about finding peace by accepting the impermanent nature of everything. This letting go is not a loss, but a release that brings us closer to our true nature and creates the conditions for a universal peace that can extend far beyond ourselves. The idea of letting go in Buddhism is often misunderstood. We live in a world that values accumulation, whether it's wealth, success, or even experiences. We're taught to hold on tightly to what we have, to build our identity around these external factors, and to constantly strive for more. But Buddhism teaches a different way. The more we cling to things, the more we suffer. This attachment distorts our perception of reality, making us believe that happiness is found in external possessions or achievements. The Zen of letting go is about releasing the grip we have on these desires and attachments, and in doing so, we find a deeper sense of peace. It is through the act of letting go that we make space for true happiness, free from the constant chase for something outside ourselves. At its core, letting go is an act of surrender, not in the sense of giving up, but in the sense of accepting that control is an illusion. The more we try to control outcomes, the more we struggle. We push against the flow of life, creating friction and resistance. By learning to let go, we stop fighting life's natural course. We stop trying to manipulate the world around us, and instead, we start to accept it as it is. This does not mean passivity. It means engaging with life without the need to control or possess. Letting go allows us to embrace life in its fullness, experiencing both the joys and the challenges without being attached to any particular outcome. This practice of releasing attachment has profound implications for our mental well-being. When we are attached to an idea, a possession, or a person, we create a mental and emotional dependency on that thing. This dependency creates tension and anxiety because we live in fear of losing what we have attached ourselves to. By letting go, we break free from this cycle of fear and anxiety. We no longer measure our happiness based on what we have or don't have, and we stop allowing external circumstances to dictate our inner peace. This freedom from attachment allows us to experience life with more clarity, more peace, and more joy. Moreover, letting go creates the space for greater compassion and understanding. When we are attached to our own desires and preferences, we often see the world in a narrow, self-centered way. Our attachments make us judgmental, creating divisions between ourselves and others. But when we release these attachments, we open ourselves to seeing others as they truly are, without the filter of our own expectations and judgments. This shift in perspective allows us to relate to others with greater empathy and kindness, creating a more harmonious world. This principle of letting go extends beyond our personal lives, and has the power to create peace on a global scale. Attachment is the source of much of the conflict in the world. We fight over resources, ideologies, and identities because we are attached to them. We believe that if we hold on tightly enough, we will be safe, happy, or fulfilled. But these attachments only lead to division, strife, and suffering. The more we cling to our beliefs, our possessions, and our desires, the more we create separation between ourselves and others. In contrast, releasing attachment allows for greater unity. When we no longer feel the need to protect our personal interests at the expense of others, we create space for collective well-being. Letting go of the attachment to winning, to being right, and to holding power creates room for dialogue, understanding, and cooperation. At a societal level, this practice can reduce conflict and foster peace. When nations or communities are attached to their own interests, they often come into conflict with others. The drive to possess more, to dominate, or to control can create wars, oppression, and injustice. But when we collectively embrace the practice of letting go, of releasing the need to control, dominate, or possess, we begin to create a foundation for peace. This doesn't mean that we stop caring about what's important. It means that we approach the world with humility and openness, recognizing that no single group or individual has a monopoly on truth or power. By letting go of attachment to power, we make room for shared understanding and cooperation. The practice of letting go also leads to greater environmental awareness. Our attachment to consumerism, to material wealth, and to a constant accumulation of resources has caused immense harm to the planet. We take more than we need and exploit the Earth's resources without considering the long-term consequences. But when we learn to let go of the desire for endless accumulation, we begin to see the world differently. We recognize that true wealth is not in what we possess, but in our connection to the earth and to each other. Letting go of attachment to material gain allows us to live more sustainably, respecting the planet and its resources as shared gifts rather than commodities to be consumed. This process of letting go also transforms the way we view our own identities. Many of us are deeply attached to the idea of who we are. We define ourselves by our roles, our achievements, or our social status. These attachments create a rigid sense of self, limiting our growth and potential. But when we release these attachments to identity, we allow ourselves to evolve. We become more fluid, more adaptable, and more open to change. We stop identifying so strongly with our past experiences or societal labels, and instead we embrace the present moment as it is. This freedom from attachment allows us to experience life with greater authenticity, unburdened by the expectations we've placed on ourselves or others have placed on us. Letting go is not an easy practice. It requires mindfulness, patience, and a deep willingness to confront the fears and desires that drive our attachments. But the rewards are immense. By releasing attachment, we free ourselves from the mental and emotional burdens that weigh us down. We no longer need to hold on tightly to things that are fleeting, and in doing so, we allow ourselves to experience life more fully. We create space for new possibilities, for growth, and for peace. In a world that often feels divided and uncertain, the practice of letting go offers a path to harmony. It invites us to release our attachments to division, to superiority, and to scarcity, and instead embrace the interconnectedness of all things. Letting go is the gateway to inner peace, and inner peace is the foundation of global peace. As we release our attachments and desires, we create a space for universal peace to grow, transforming not only our individual lives, but the collective consciousness of the world. This is the Zen of letting go, a simple yet powerful practice that can heal the world. Having explored how releasing mental attachments can create space for universal peace, we now turn to a key aspect of personal transformation: mental clarity. It is through clarity of mind that we can truly understand ourselves and the world around us. Much like a mirror, our minds reflect everything we encounter. If the mirror is clouded by confusion, stress, or attachment, the world we see will be distorted. But when the mind is clear, free from distractions and negativity, the reflection of the world becomes sharper, more vibrant, and full of possibilities. Achieving mental clarity through practices like mindfulness and meditation doesn't just transform the individual. It alters how we perceive reality, how we interact with others, and how we engage with the world. In this chapter, we will explore how personal clarity brings a clearer world view and how it shapes not only our experiences, but also the very way we relate to everything around us. Mental clarity is not simply the absence of noise or confusion in the mind. It's the presence of focused awareness and insight. When our minds are clouded, we interpret everything through a veil of biases, assumptions, and past experiences. We react impulsively, often misjudging situations or people. But as we practice mindfulness, we begin to clear away this fog, allowing us to see things as they truly are, rather than through the filter of our conditioned minds. This clarity is not just about knowing what's going on inside our heads. It's about seeing the world more clearly, with fresh eyes and an open heart. Through mindfulness and meditation, we develop the ability to quiet the mind, to detach from the constant chatter of thoughts that cloud our perceptions. Meditation, in particular, is a tool for fostering this clarity. By sitting in stillness and observing our thoughts without judgment, we create space between stimulus and response. This practice helps us cultivate a calm and focused mind, which is not easily swayed by external events or internal distractions. As we begin to experience more mental clarity, we become more aware of our thoughts, reactions, and feelings. We are no longer at the mercy of our automatic responses, but have the power to choose how we react to life's challenges. One of the most profound shifts that occur with mental clarity is the way we see and interpret our experiences. With a clear mind, we are able to see things without distortion, whether it's a conversation, a personal challenge, or a moment of joy. We stop interpreting everything through the lens of our biases, fears, or desires. Instead, we begin to experience life with greater objectivity, seeing the world as it truly is, rather than as we want it to be. This shift allows us to approach situations with greater wisdom, patience, and understanding. We no longer get caught in the drama of our own thoughts and emotions, but instead, we are able to step back, observe, and respond with a sense of calm and clarity. This process of cultivating mental clarity also has a profound effect on how we relate to others. In our daily lives, We often engage with people through a lens of judgment, assumptions, and preconceived notions. These mental filters distort the way we perceive others, leading to misunderstandings, conflict, and disconnection. But when our minds are clear, we are able to see others more clearly. We begin to perceive them not through the filter of our own fears or desires, but as they truly are. This clarity fosters greater empathy and compassion, allowing us to connect with others on a deeper level. We become more attuned to their needs, their emotions, and their struggles, and we respond with greater kindness and understanding. This shift in perception also influences the way we engage with the world as a whole. With mental clarity, we begin to see the interconnectedness of all things. We recognize that our actions, thoughts, and words have far-reaching effects on the world around us. We stop seeing ourselves as isolated individuals, separate from the world, and begin to see ourselves as part of a larger whole. This awareness fosters a sense of responsibility as we realize that our well-being is tied to the well-being of others. With mental clarity, we understand that our thoughts and actions contribute to the collective consciousness, and we begin to act with greater awareness of the impact we have on the world. This expanded perspective is particularly important in a world that is often divided by conflict, misunderstanding, and fear. When our minds are clouded by judgment or attachment, we are quick to react with hostility, fear, or anger. We see others as the enemy or the other, and we close ourselves off from meaningful dialogue or connection. But when we cultivate mental clarity, we open ourselves to new perspectives. We are able to listen without judgment, to engage in conversations with empathy and understanding, and to find common ground even with those who may seem different from us. This shift is essential for fostering peace, not just on an individual level, but on a global scale. As more people develop mental clarity, the collective consciousness shifts toward greater understanding and cooperation, creating a more harmonious and compassionate world. The process of achieving mental clarity is not always easy. It requires consistent effort and dedication. In a world that is constantly filled with distractions, it can be challenging to quiet the mind and focus on the present moment. However, the benefits of cultivating mental clarity are immeasurable. When our minds are clear, we experience greater peace, less stress, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. We become less reactive and more responsive, able to face life's challenges with grace and resilience. We also develop a deeper sense of self-awareness, which allows us to recognize and let go of the thought patterns and beliefs that no longer serve us. As we continue to cultivate mental clarity through mindfulness and meditation, we begin to experience a shift in how we relate to ourselves. With greater clarity, we are able to see ourselves without the distortion of self-criticism, shame, or judgment. We begin to accept ourselves as we are, with all our imperfections and flaws. This self-acceptance is a key component of inner peace and personal growth. When we no longer fight against ourselves or try to be something we're not, we experience a deep sense of freedom. We are able to live authentically, true to who we are, without the pressure to conform to external expectations or societal norms. Mental clarity also allows us to align more deeply with our values and purpose. When our minds are clouded by distractions, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters to us. We get caught up in the noise of life, reacting to whatever comes our way without much thought or intention. But when we clear the mental clutter, we are able to connect with our deeper purpose and act in ways that are aligned with our values. This alignment leads to a greater sense of fulfillment and satisfaction as we begin to live in accordance with our truest selves. Furthermore, the clarity that comes with mindfulness and meditation also enhances our ability to make decisions. In a world that often feels uncertain, it can be difficult to know what to do or where to turn. But when we cultivate mental clarity, we develop a greater sense of discernment. We are able to make decisions with confidence and wisdom, free from the fear, anxiety, or confusion that often clouds our judgment. This clarity allows us to navigate life's challenges with more grace and ease, knowing that we are making choices that are in alignment with our highest good. As we continue on the path of cultivating mental clarity, we begin to notice the impact it has not just on our personal lives, but on the world around us. Our clearer worldview enables us to engage more meaningfully with others, to contribute to the collective good, and to create positive change in the world. The more we clear our minds, the more we can see the world as it truly is, full of possibility, connection, and beauty. And as more individuals experience this clarity, the ripple effect spreads, transforming not just the way we perceive the world, but the way we relate to it and the people within it. Mental clarity is the foundation of a peaceful, compassionate world. It allows us to break through the illusions that separate us and to live in harmony with ourselves, with others, and with the world around us. As we continue from exploring how mental clarity transforms not only our perception of the world, but also the way we interact with it, we now turn to a deeper, more interconnected aspect of mindfulness. It's no longer just about inner peace or personal growth, but about how nurturing a balanced, peaceful mind shapes our relationship with the environment. In Buddhism, mindfulness is not just a practice for mental clarity or emotional healing. It's a path that leads to a deeper respect for all life, including the natural world. As we cultivate a peaceful mind, we naturally develop a sense of responsibility toward the earth. This isn't about a distant, abstract idea of environmentalism, but a direct, visceral connection to the land, the air, and the waters that sustain us. When our minds are aligned with the rhythms of nature, we begin to see that our well-being is inseparable from the health of the planet. The Buddhist teachings on mindfulness offer a unique perspective on how to live in harmony with the environment. At its core, mindfulness involves being fully present and aware of the world around us. But this awareness is not limited to our personal thoughts or emotions. It extends outward, embracing all aspects of life. As we cultivate mindfulness in our daily lives, we begin to notice how our actions, thoughts, and choices impact the world around us. We see that every small decision, whether it's the food we eat, the resources we use, or the way we interact with the land, has an effect on the broader ecosystem. When we become aware of this interconnectedness, we can no longer ignore the environmental challenges that we face. Instead, we feel compelled to act in ways that nurture and protect the earth. The practice of mindfulness in Buddhism is deeply rooted in the understanding of impermanence. Everything is in a constant state of change, and this includes the environment. Our planet, like everything else, is subject to cycles of birth, decay, and renewal. However, The way we interact with nature has a profound impact on these cycles. When we are disconnected from the land, when we exploit natural resources without regard for their sustainability, we disrupt the natural balance. Mindfulness, however, invites us to see the earth not as a resource to be consumed, but as a living, breathing entity that deserves our respect and care. This awareness transforms how we view the environment. Instead of seeing nature as separate from us or something to be controlled, we come to understand that we are an integral part of the natural world. The health of the earth is directly tied to the health of our minds, and when we nurture one, we nurture the other. The deeper our mindfulness practice, the more we recognize the profound interconnectedness between human beings and the environment. This awareness opens our hearts and minds to the idea of environmental stewardship. Buddhism teaches that all beings, from the smallest insect to the tallest tree, are interconnected. This concept of interdependence is a cornerstone of Buddhist philosophy and has direct implications for how we engage with the earth. When we see ourselves as part of this web of life, we are naturally inclined to protect and preserve the environment. We begin to recognize that the suffering of the earth, whether it's pollution, deforestation, or climate change, is also our suffering. When the planet suffers, we suffer, and vice versa. Mindfulness teaches us to be present in every moment, to engage fully with whatever is before us. This presence can be extended to our relationship with nature. Instead of viewing nature as something distant or irrelevant to our daily lives, mindfulness invites us to cultivate a deep awareness of the natural world in every moment. Whether we are walking in a park, sitting by a river, or simply looking out the window, mindfulness allows us to appreciate the beauty and complexity of nature. This appreciation is not just about admiring its beauty, it's about understanding that nature is a living system that sustains us. It provides the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food we eat. In this way, mindfulness nurtures a sense of gratitude for the earth and everything it provides. This sense of gratitude, born from mindfulness, naturally leads to a desire to protect and care for the environment. When we feel connected to the earth, we no longer see environmental degradation as a distant issue or someone else's problem. It becomes personal. The suffering of the environment becomes our suffering. As we cultivate mindfulness, we develop a deep sense of responsibility for the earth and the creatures that inhabit it. We begin to act in ways that support the well-being of the planet, whether it's reducing waste, conserving resources, or supporting sustainable practices. Our choices become aligned with the values of compassion, interdependence, and respect for all life. One of the most powerful aspects of Buddhist mindfulness is its ability to transform our relationship with consumption. In modern society, we are often driven by desires for more stuff, more wealth, more convenience. This constant striving leads to overconsumption, which in turn depletes the earth's resources. However, mindfulness teaches us to be content with what we have, to be aware of our desires, and to choose actions that are in harmony with the earth. This does not mean rejecting material things, but it does encourage us to make choices that reflect our values and respect for the environment. When we are mindful of our consumption, we make decisions that contribute to the well-being of the planet rather than to its destruction. Mindfulness also fosters a sense of patience which is crucial in our relationship with the environment. Many environmental challenges, such as climate change, biodiversity loss, and deforestation, are long-term issues that cannot be solved overnight. Mindfulness helps us to approach these challenges with patience and persistence. We understand that change takes time and that every small effort, whether it's planting a tree, reducing our carbon footprint, or supporting eco-friendly businesses, contributes to the greater good. Through mindfulness, we cultivate the patience needed to continue working toward a more sustainable future, even in the face of setbacks or slow progress. As we develop this mindfulness of nature, we also begin to see the deep spiritual connection between the earth and our own well-being. In Buddhism, the earth is often seen as a source of wisdom and healing. The natural world, with its cycles of growth, decay, and renewal, reflects the impermanence and interconnectedness that are central to Buddhist teachings. When we connect with nature, we align ourselves with these natural rhythms. We begin to understand that our own spiritual growth is intertwined with the health of the earth. In caring for the planet, we are also caring for ourselves. This realization deepens our commitment to environmental stewardship as we recognize that our well-being is directly tied to the well-being of the earth. The practice of mindfulness extends beyond individual action and becomes a collective responsibility. As more people awaken to the interconnectedness of all life, the collective consciousness shifts. This shift creates a groundswell of support for environmental protection, leading to societal changes that prioritize sustainability, conservation, and respect for the earth. In this way, Buddhist mindfulness doesn't just transform the individual, it transforms society. When we cultivate a peaceful, balanced mind, we are better equipped to contribute to a world that values harmony, balance, and respect for the environment. Our collective actions, no matter how small, can create a ripple effect that leads to lasting environmental change. The path of mindfulness and environmental stewardship is not a quick fix, but a lifelong journey. It requires ongoing effort and commitment. But as more individuals and communities embrace mindfulness, the impact becomes increasingly profound. The more we cultivate a deep, respectful relationship with nature, the more we begin to heal not only ourselves, but the planet. When we nurture our minds and our spirits, we naturally extend that care to the earth, creating a harmonious relationship that benefits all life. The practice of mindfulness teaches us that the health of the earth is inseparable from our own health. By cultivating a peaceful, balanced mind, we cultivate a healthier world, a world where both people and nature thrive in harmony. As we continue to explore how mindfulness and personal growth shape our relationship with the world, we now step into a deeper and more profound understanding of mental health. The journey toward inner peace and balance is often viewed as a personal endeavor, something that benefits the individual in their own life. But what if we were to shift our perspective and see mental health not just as self-care, but as a moral responsibility to the collective? What if the health of our minds wasn't only important for our own well-being, but also a direct contribution to the global welfare? The idea that our mental health work, our personal inner work, can affect the world is a powerful realization. This chapter is about understanding that taking care of your mind is not just for your benefit, but for the greater good, for the world itself. It is, in fact, a sacred duty. The Buddhist teachings on mindfulness and mental well-being make it clear that our internal state has far-reaching effects. It's not just that we suffer in isolation when our minds are clouded or unbalanced. The energy we carry, the attitudes we embody, and the choices we make affect everyone around us. In a world where negative thought patterns, fear, and anxiety are rampant, working on our mental health becomes not just a personal journey, but a communal one. The more we heal our minds, the more we contribute to the collective consciousness, creating a ripple effect that can reach far beyond our immediate circles. The act of nurturing a healthy, balanced mind can ultimately change the world. When we focus on our mental health, we are engaging in a process that not only frees ourselves from personal suffering, but also contributes to the alleviation of suffering in others. Mental health work, in this sense, becomes an act of compassion toward ourselves and toward those around us. When we are at peace with ourselves, we become less reactive and more compassionate, able to engage with others from a place of love and understanding rather than judgment or defensiveness. This shift in how we approach others has a profound impact on society as a whole. In a world where conflict, division, and misunderstanding often dominate, the practice of tending to our own mental well-being becomes a form of social healing. Each person who works to heal their mind adds to the collective well-being, making the world a more compassionate place. The connection between personal mental health and global well-being becomes clearer when we understand the interconnectedness of all beings. Buddhism teaches that everything is connected, that our actions, thoughts, and words ripple outward, affecting not just ourselves, but everyone and everything around us. The state of our minds doesn't exist in isolation. It impacts how we interact with the world, how we treat others, and how we contribute to society. When we allow negativity, anger, or fear to dominate our minds, we project those emotions outward, contributing to a climate of fear, anger, and division. But when we take responsibility for our mental health by practicing mindfulness, cultivating compassion, and releasing negative thought patterns, we change the energy we bring into the world. This energy, in turn, impacts those we encounter, fostering a sense of peace, understanding, and connection. This understanding of personal mental health as a collective responsibility brings with it a deeper sense of accountability. Mental health work is not just about feeling better, it's about acknowledging that our inner states influence the broader environment. It's easy to assume that personal well-being is a private matter, but in truth, the health of our minds affects the health of the world. When we allow ourselves to heal, we contribute to the healing of society. This perspective shifts the focus from individual gain to collective good. By working on our mental health, we are not only bettering our own lives, but also creating the conditions for global well-being. Furthermore, this moral responsibility is linked to the concept of generativity in Buddhism, the idea that we are meant to contribute to the world, not just for our own sake, but for the greater good. When we heal ourselves, we become more capable of giving back to others. We can offer love, wisdom, and compassion, which are necessary ingredients for a healthier society. The work we do on ourselves, then, is never just for us. It is for the world. In a world where so much suffering exists, the act of nurturing our own mental health becomes a profound contribution to the collective well-being. It's not just about self-care, it's about collective care. When we take care of our minds, we take care of the world. The impact of personal mental health work on global well-being also highlights the importance of community. Mental health is not just an individual responsibility, it's a shared experience. As we work on healing ourselves, we also have the opportunity to support others in their journeys. In Buddhism, the concept of Sangha refers to the community of practitioners, those who walk the path together. The more we engage in our own mental health work, the more we contribute to the collective Sangha, creating a community of healing and growth. When we support others in their mental health journeys, we amplify the positive impact we have on the world. We build a network of compassion and understanding, one that can extend to the broader community, fostering social change. In addition to the community aspect, personal mental health work also creates space for the healing of societal wounds. As we cultivate peace and compassion within ourselves, we become more attuned to the suffering of others. We begin to recognize the deep interconnection between personal well-being and societal well-being. When we work on our mental health, we are better able to address the systemic issues that cause suffering in the world, issues like poverty, injustice, and inequality. We begin to see that these issues are not separate from our own well-being, but are tied to the mental and emotional health of society as a whole. The more individuals who engage in mental health work, the more collective healing takes place, creating a ripple effect that can impact global issues. The role of mindfulness in personal mental health work cannot be overstated. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present and aware of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations. It is through mindfulness that we become aware of the patterns of thinking that cause suffering, such as fear, greed, and anger. By becoming aware of these patterns, we can begin to transform them, releasing the attachments and mental constructs that limit our growth. Mindfulness allows us to see the world without the distortions of our conditioning, giving us the clarity to respond to situations with compassion and wisdom. This practice of mindfulness helps to heal not only the mind, but also the world. When we approach life with mindfulness, we are better able to respond to others with kindness and understanding, creating a more peaceful and compassionate environment for all. Incorporating mindfulness into our daily lives transforms the way we interact with others, which is a crucial aspect of personal mental health work. It allows us to communicate more effectively, listen more deeply, and respond more thoughtfully. When we engage with others from a place of mental clarity and compassion, we create stronger connections and build more harmonious relationships. These relationships, in turn, strengthen the fabric of society. As more people engage in mindfulness practices and mental health work, we foster a global environment where empathy, cooperation, and understanding flourish. Ultimately, the sacred duty of inner work lies in recognizing that our mental health is not just about personal well-being, it is about the well-being of all. The more we nurture our minds, the more we contribute to a collective healing process. Each individual who works on their mental health contributes to the collective consciousness and, in turn, to the greater good of the world. This understanding of mental health as a moral responsibility shifts the narrative from individual gain to collective welfare. It reminds us that our personal well-being is intertwined with the well-being of others, and that the health of our minds has a direct impact on the health of the world. By engaging in mental health work, we participate in the greater movement of healing and transformation, contributing to a more compassionate, just, and peaceful world for all. Continuing from our exploration of how personal mental health is not only an individual pursuit, but a shared responsibility for global well-being, we now turn to a practice that is at the heart of creating deeper connections with others: empathy. While we've already touched on how mindfulness fosters clarity and understanding, we now dive into how mindfulness, coupled with self-reflection, nurtures empathy, creating profound shifts in how we relate to those around us. It's often easy to overlook how our own thoughts and emotions shape our interactions with others. Yet, each time we pause and reflect mindfully, we unlock a deeper understanding of ourselves, which in turn transforms the way we connect with the world. This process of reflecting mindfully on our own thoughts and feelings doesn't just change us. It ripples outward, touching everyone we encounter and changing the way we relate to others, one thought at a time. When we practice mindful reflection, we are essentially giving ourselves the space to step back and observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment. In doing so, we break free from automatic reactions that often lead to misunderstandings, conflict, and disconnection. Most of us are trapped in a cycle of reacting rather than responding thoughtfully, especially when faced with challenging emotions or interactions. But when we make the effort to reflect mindfully, we stop, breathe, and observe the triggers within us. We give ourselves permission to fully experience our emotions and thoughts, but without allowing them to control us. This act of mindfulness creates space between stimulus and response, allowing us to choose how we will engage with the world around us. Through this process of reflection, we also begin to uncover the deeper layers of our emotions. We realize that much of our automatic response to others comes from unresolved pain, biases, or unexamined assumptions. These inner patterns shape how we interpret the actions and words of others, often causing us to misinterpret their intentions or react out of fear, insecurity, or anger. But when we take the time to reflect mindfully, we begin to recognize these underlying patterns. We start to see that much of our emotional reactivity is not about the present moment, but about past experiences, ingrained fears, and old wounds. Mindful reflection allows us to identify these patterns, offering us the chance to heal them. This healing leads to a more compassionate, empathetic approach to others, as we realize that everyone carries their own burdens, their own pain, and their own stories. Empathy arises when we can understand the emotional landscape of others, not from a place of judgment or assumption, but from a deep, reflective awareness. By observing our own thoughts and feelings, we learn to approach others with greater understanding. We stop seeing people as objects to be reacted to or judged, and instead we see them as human beings with their own struggles, needs, and desires. This shift is profound. The more we practice mindful reflection, the more we begin to recognize that other people's actions are often shaped by their own pain, fears, and experiences, just as ours are. We learn to view others through the lens of compassion, understanding that their actions are not always a reflection of us, but a reflection of their own internal world. Mindful reflection also helps us develop greater patience with others. When we become more aware of our own triggers and emotional responses, we are less likely to react impulsively when someone challenges us or acts in a way that feels uncomfortable. Instead, we respond from a place of awareness. We recognize that the other person's behavior may be coming from their own struggles, and we no longer feel the need to judge or react defensively. This shift not only makes our relationships more harmonious, but also helps build stronger, more resilient connections. As we develop this kind of reflective awareness, we begin to engage with others in a way that prioritizes understanding over judgment and compassion over frustration. The practice of mindful reflection fosters empathy not just in personal relationships, but on a broader scale. In a world where division, conflict, and misunderstanding seem pervasive, the ability to empathize with others is more crucial than ever. The deeper our practice of reflection, the more we come to understand the interconnectedness of all human beings. We realize that our thoughts and emotions are not separate from others. They are shared experiences. When we suffer, others suffer too, and when we heal, others have the opportunity to heal as well. This realization helps us engage with the world from a place of kindness and empathy, rather than defensiveness or separation. As we cultivate empathy through mindful reflection, we begin to change the way we perceive and interact with people from different backgrounds, cultures, and walks of life. It becomes easier to see beyond differences and find common ground. We learn to listen with open hearts, free from judgment or preconceived notions, and respond with the intention of understanding. This approach fosters greater cooperation, compassion, and unity. As we practice reflecting on our own thoughts and emotions, we become more attuned to the needs and perspectives of others, allowing us to bridge gaps that once seemed insurmountable. Furthermore, mindful reflection encourages us to take responsibility for our role in the world. When we reflect on our thoughts, actions, and emotions, we begin to understand how we contribute to the collective energy of society. We realize that every interaction we have, whether it's with a family member, a colleague, or even a stranger, has the potential to either uplift or diminish the collective energy of the world. As we become more mindful of our own reactions and emotions, we take greater care in how we interact with others. We begin to realize that our words and actions carry weight, and that by fostering empathy, we contribute to a world that is more peaceful and compassionate. This shift in perspective also extends to the way we engage with societal issues. When we practice mindful reflection, we become more aware of the collective suffering of humanity, whether it's inequality, injustice, or environmental destruction. Instead of becoming overwhelmed by these issues, we approach them with empathy and a clear mind, knowing that we are not powerless to create change. Reflecting mindfully on the world's challenges allows us to engage in solutions that are rooted in compassion and understanding, rather than frustration or anger. At its core, mindful reflection nurtures the kind of empathy that promotes social change. As we develop a deeper understanding of our own emotional landscape, we gain the ability to connect more meaningfully with others. We become more patient, compassionate, and open, which fosters deeper relationships and stronger communities. This expanded empathy doesn't stop at the personal level. It becomes a powerful tool for global transformation. By changing the way we relate to others, one thought, one interaction at a time, we begin to build a more compassionate world. Mindful reflection also deepens our connection to the present moment. When we take the time to truly observe our thoughts and emotions, we break free from the cycles of overthinking and anxiety that so often cloud our judgment. We become more attuned to what is happening around us, and in doing so, we develop a deeper appreciation for the people, nature, and experiences that surround us. This heightened awareness enhances our empathy as we begin to feel more deeply connected to the world and to each other. Through this practice, we discover that empathy is not just about understanding others' pain, it's also about sharing in their joy. As we reflect mindfully on our own emotions, we open ourselves to the full spectrum of human experience, learning to celebrate the successes and happiness of others just as much as we empathize with their struggles. This creates a sense of shared humanity, one that transcends differences and unites us in our common experience. By reflecting mindfully on our own internal world, we are not just transforming our own lives, but the world itself. This process is gradual and ongoing, but its impact is profound. As we continue to engage in mindful reflection, we build the foundation for a world rooted in empathy, understanding, and compassion. We learn that the most powerful way to change the world is not by focusing solely on external actions, but by changing the way we think, feel, and relate to others. This inner transformation radiates outward, touching the lives of everyone we encounter, and contributing to a collective shift toward a more compassionate and connected world. As we have seen, the practice of mindful reflection not only nurtures empathy, but also deepens our connection to the present moment, helping us create a more compassionate world. Now, we turn to a crucial aspect of personal and collective growth: mental hygiene. Just as we maintain physical cleanliness to ensure our bodies function optimally, our minds too require regular care to stay healthy and balanced. The Buddhist approach to mental hygiene teaches us that by purging harmful thoughts and emotions, we create a cleaner, more positive mental environment, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. This practice is a form of mental cleansing, allowing us to let go of negativity, resentment, and unhelpful mental habits that cloud our perception and hinder our well-being. The idea of mental hygiene may seem novel to some, but in Buddhist teachings, it is deeply embedded in the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is not just about being present. It is about being present in a way that acknowledges and addresses the clutter in our minds. Over time, negative thoughts and harmful emotions can accumulate, creating a mental environment that is toxic and heavy. These mental pollutants manifest in various forms: fear, anger, jealousy, guilt, or judgment, each clouding our clarity and affecting the way we interact with the world. Without regular cleansing, these negative states build up, affecting not just our inner peace, but our relationships, actions, and the energy we bring into the world. Mental hygiene, then, becomes a vital practice for fostering a more peaceful and harmonious world. By tending to our minds, just as we would our bodies, we create a healthier mental environment that is free from the pollution of negativity. In Buddhism, this practice is often referred to as purifying the mind. It is a continual process of removing the mental clutter and letting go of harmful thought patterns. But the key here is that it's not just an individual endeavor, it's a collective one. The more each person works on cleansing their mind of negativity, the more we create a global shift toward positivity, harmony, and peace. One of the first steps in applying mental hygiene is becoming aware of the harmful thoughts and emotions that arise within us. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, we often don't take the time to notice these mental pollutants. We may carry around feelings of resentment or anger, or our minds may be filled with negative judgments about ourselves or others. But mindfulness allows us to bring these thoughts into the light of awareness. By simply acknowledging these harmful thoughts without judgment, we begin the process of cleaning them out. Awareness is the first step to transformation. Once we recognize these thoughts, we can begin to gently release them, letting go of the patterns that no longer serve us. It's like cleaning out a drawer full of old, useless items. When we make space, we create room for clarity and positivity to enter. As we work on purging harmful thoughts, we also begin to cultivate more positive mental states. Buddhism teaches that the mind is not inherently bad, but that it is clouded by attachments and aversions. These attachments, whether to people, things, or ideas, create mental clinging, which leads to dissatisfaction. When we cleanse the mind of these attachments, we begin to see the world with more openness and acceptance. Mental hygiene involves not only letting go of negativity, but also nurturing positive qualities such as compassion, patience, and gratitude. By cultivating these qualities, we strengthen the positive environment within us, which radiates outward and influences the world around us. Mindfulness meditation is one of the most effective tools for this process. Meditation allows us to sit with our thoughts and emotions, giving us the space to observe them without being overwhelmed by them. In meditation, we learn to notice the ebb and flow of our thoughts, recognizing that they are impermanent and not necessarily reflective of our true selves. As we observe these thoughts without attachment, we begin to let them go, creating a sense of mental cleanliness and clarity. Through regular meditation practice, we also develop a deeper sense of emotional resilience. We learn not to react impulsively to negative emotions, but to sit with them and allow them to pass, much like clouds drifting across the sky. This practice of observing without judgment creates a sense of freedom from the cycle of negative thinking, allowing us to cultivate a more peaceful and positive mental environment. Another essential aspect of mental hygiene is the practice of self-compassion. In a world that often encourages self-criticism and comparison, it is easy to become overwhelmed by negative thoughts about ourselves. But when we practice self-compassion, we treat ourselves with kindness, understanding, and patience. This practice is a powerful antidote to the harmful patterns of self-doubt, guilt, and shame that can accumulate over time. By being gentle with ourselves, we create a mental environment where healing and growth can take place. This shift in how we treat ourselves is not only beneficial for our own mental health, but also for the well-being of others. When we practice self-compassion, we are more likely to extend that same kindness to others, contributing to a more compassionate society. In the Buddhist tradition, this work of mental cleansing is not seen as a one-time event, but as a continual practice. Just as we would regularly clean our homes or care for our bodies, we must regularly tend to the health of our minds. This requires discipline, awareness, and commitment. But the rewards of this practice are profound. As we cultivate mental hygiene, we experience greater peace, clarity, and emotional balance. We also become more attuned to the needs of others, able to offer empathy and compassion without being clouded by our own mental distractions. The healthier our minds, the healthier our relationships and communities. On a larger scale, when more people engage in the practice of mental hygiene, the impact is not just individual, but collective. In a society where negativity, stress, and emotional turmoil are so prevalent, the collective mental environment is often filled with tension and discord. But as individuals work on cleansing their minds, they contribute to a shift in the collective consciousness. By fostering a more positive mental environment within ourselves, we create the conditions for greater peace and understanding in the world. Mental hygiene is not just a personal responsibility, it is a communal one. The more we nurture our own mental health, the more we contribute to the global well-being of society. One of the most significant benefits of mental hygiene is its ability to reduce conflict. When we cleanse our minds of negativity, we become less reactive and more understanding. We no longer see others as threats or adversaries, but as fellow human beings navigating the same challenges. This shift in perception reduces the likelihood of conflict, both on a personal level and in the broader world. In a society that often values competition and division, mental hygiene offers an antidote. By fostering understanding and compassion, we can build stronger, more harmonious relationships. This harmony can extend to larger societal structures, fostering cooperation and unity where there was once division. Furthermore, mental hygiene is an essential tool in combating the global challenges we face, such as environmental degradation, inequality, and social injustice. These issues are often exacerbated by fear, greed, and ignorance. But when we cleanse our minds and cultivate compassion, we are better equipped to tackle these challenges with wisdom and empathy. The clarity and peace that come with mental hygiene allow us to approach these issues with a sense of responsibility, not just for ourselves, but for the planet and future generations. By fostering a positive mental environment, we create the space for positive action that benefits not only ourselves, but the world at large. The Buddhist practice of mental hygiene offers a way to break free from the cycle of negativity that often dominates our minds. It reminds us that our thoughts and emotions are not permanent. They are fleeting and can be transformed with awareness, patience, and compassion. By regularly cleansing our minds, we free ourselves from the grip of harmful mental patterns, creating space for peace, clarity, and positivity to flourish. This transformation not only benefits us, but contributes to the greater good of society, fostering a collective mental environment that is healthier, more compassionate, and more harmonious. In conclusion, mental hygiene is not just about cleansing the mind for our own benefit, but about recognizing our interconnectedness with others. As we tend to our mental well-being, we contribute to the collective mental environment, creating a world that is more positive, compassionate, and peaceful. This practice of mental hygiene is essential for global well-being, as it nurtures the individual mind, which in turn nurtures society as a whole. The more we engage in this practice, the more we contribute to a healthier, more harmonious world. As we have explored the transformative power of mental hygiene in creating a positive environment, we now delve into an even deeper truth, the illusion of separation. This illusion, which convinces us that we are distinct and disconnected from others, is at the root of much of the suffering in the world. The Buddhist teachings on interconnectedness invite us to see through this illusion, revealing that the boundaries we place between ourselves and others are not real, but constructs of the mind. By healing the mind, we begin to dissolve these false barriers, fostering a sense of unity and shared experience. This shift not only changes how we relate to others, but transforms the way we engage with the world, creating a more harmonious and unified global consciousness. The idea of separation is deeply ingrained in how we experience the world. We often view ourselves as individuals, separate from the people around us and from the environment. This perception influences the way we think, feel, and act. We see others as distinct from ourselves, which leads to division, competition, and conflict. But Buddhism teaches that this separation is an illusion created by the mind. In truth, we are all interconnected, part of a vast web of existence. This interconnectedness is not a philosophical concept, but a living reality that becomes apparent when we focus on our minds. As we begin to heal and purify our thoughts and emotions, we start to see the world differently. The boundaries that once seemed so real fade away, and we come to realize that we are not isolated beings, but part of a larger, unified whole. Healing the mind, therefore, is not just about personal growth. It is a process of collective transformation. When we heal our own minds, we contribute to the healing of the collective consciousness. Each thought, each emotion, and each action has a ripple effect, affecting not only our own lives, but also the lives of others. By releasing negative thought patterns, letting go of judgment, and cultivating compassion, we begin to dissolve the walls that divide us. The more individuals engage in this inner healing, the more the collective consciousness shifts toward unity, peace, and understanding. One of the key ways that healing the mind leads to a more unified world is through the cultivation of empathy. When we heal our minds, we gain greater clarity and awareness, which allows us to see others more clearly. We no longer view people through the lens of our own fears, judgments, and prejudices. Instead, we see them as fellow human beings with their own struggles, joys, and desires. This shift in perception dissolves the illusion of separation as we begin to understand that we are all connected by our shared human experience. Empathy becomes the natural result of this understanding. When we truly see others as extensions of ourselves, we naturally respond with kindness, compassion, and understanding. This shift toward empathy is not just a personal transformation, but a social one. As we heal and embrace the interconnectedness of all beings, we begin to engage with the world in a more cooperative rather than competitive way. We no longer see others as threats or obstacles to our success, but as partners in a shared journey. This shift in how we relate to others creates stronger communities, where cooperation and collaboration replace division and conflict. When we heal the mind, we heal our relationships, and as our relationships improve, the fabric of society becomes stronger and more unified. Furthermore, as we begin to heal the mind, we recognize that the separation we feel from others is mirrored in the way we interact with the environment. Our current environmental crisis is a direct result of this illusion of separation. We see the earth as something separate from us, something to be exploited for our own gain. But as we heal our minds and begin to dissolve the sense of separation, we also begin to see the earth as an extension of ourselves. We understand that our well-being is tied to the health of the planet, and that the suffering of the Earth is our suffering. This recognition leads to a shift in how we engage with the natural world. We begin to take responsibility for the environment, understanding that our actions affect the whole of creation. As we heal the mind, we heal our relationship with the Earth, contributing to a more sustainable and harmonious world. The healing of the mind also enables us to see beyond the superficial differences that often divide us. In a world where race, religion, and nationality are frequently sources of conflict, healing the mind allows us to transcend these divisions. We begin to see that, at a deeper level, we are all the same. We all share the same basic desires for happiness, peace, and well-being. The more we focus on healing our own minds, the more we recognize our shared humanity. This recognition fosters a sense of solidarity, where we no longer see others as them, but as us. This shift is essential for creating a more peaceful, unified world. As we continue to heal our minds, we also develop greater emotional resilience. The mental and emotional challenges we face, whether personal or societal, are often magnified by the sense of separation. When we feel disconnected from others, we are more likely to react with fear, anger, or frustration. But as we heal the mind and release the illusion of separation, we become more equipped to face challenges with calmness and clarity. We no longer feel as though we are fighting alone. We understand that we are part of a larger whole, and this understanding gives us the strength to persevere. The more individuals who engage in this inner healing, the more resilient the collective consciousness becomes, enabling us to tackle global challenges with greater unity and strength. Healing the mind also fosters a sense of humility. When we see ourselves as separate and isolated, we often develop an inflated sense of self-importance. We believe that we are the center of the universe, and this belief leads to arrogance, greed, and exploitation. But when we heal the mind and recognize our interconnectedness with all beings, we are humbled. We realize that we are not the masters of the universe, but a part of it. This humility shifts our approach to life. Instead of seeking dominance, we seek cooperation. Instead of exploiting others, we seek to help. Humility, born from inner healing, contributes to a more compassionate, cooperative world. As we continue to heal our minds, we begin to see the impact of our thoughts, actions, and emotions on the world around us. Every time we let go of anger, judgment, or fear, we create space for peace to enter. Every time we practice compassion and understanding, we contribute to a more harmonious world. The more we focus on healing ourselves, the more we contribute to the collective healing of society. This healing is not just an internal process. It has external consequences. As we heal our minds, we create a ripple effect that spreads outward, touching the lives of those around us and ultimately contributing to a more peaceful, unified world. The illusion of separation, then, is not just a mental construct, but a social and environmental one as well. The more we heal our minds, the more we dissolve the false boundaries that divide us from others and from the earth. As we do so, we begin to experience a greater sense of unity, both within ourselves and with the world around us. This unity is not just an abstract ideal. It is a lived reality that transforms how we relate to others, how we care for the environment, and how we engage with the global community. Healing the mind, in this sense, is the first step toward healing the world. By dismantling the illusion of separation, we create the conditions for a more unified, compassionate, and peaceful world. Ultimately, the process of healing the mind is a journey toward collective transformation. As more individuals engage in this practice, the ripple effect grows, creating a shift in the collective consciousness. This shift is not immediate, but it is profound. The more we work on healing our own minds, the more we contribute to the healing of the world. When we release the illusion of separation, we open the door to a deeper understanding of our shared humanity. This understanding leads to greater empathy, cooperation, and peace, both within ourselves and in the world at large. Healing the mind is not just a personal practice, it is a collective responsibility that holds the potential to transform the world. As we've explored the profound impact of healing the mind on creating a more unified and compassionate world, we now shift our focus to a crucial practice for maintaining inner peace amidst the external chaos. In a world increasingly filled with noise, conflict, and constant distractions, it can feel almost impossible to find a sense of calm or stillness. But Buddhist teachings offer us a path to detachment, not from life itself, but from the external turbulence that threatens to overwhelm us. Through mindfulness, meditation, and detachment, we can cultivate a deep inner peace that allows us to navigate the chaos of the world with clarity and resilience. This inner peace doesn't just protect us, it becomes a force that impacts the world, creating ripples of calm amidst the storm. Buddhism teaches that the external world is full of change, noise, and uncertainty. These external conditions are beyond our control, yet they often define our experience. Whether it's the pressures of modern society, the chaos of political conflicts, or the constant barrage of information, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. The world seems to be in a constant state of turbulence, and we are swept up in it. However, Buddhist philosophy shows us that this external chaos does not have to dictate our inner state. By focusing on cultivating inner peace, we learn to detach from the constant noise and find stillness within ourselves. This detachment is not about withdrawing from the world, but rather about not letting the world's noise disturb our inner calm. The practice of detachment, as taught in Buddhism, is not about indifference or escape. It's about choosing not to be swayed by the ever-changing circumstances of life. The teachings encourage us to let go of our attachments, whether to outcomes, opinions, or external situations, and to develop the ability to remain centered, regardless of what is happening around us. This detachment creates a mental and emotional space that allows us to respond to life's challenges with clarity and wisdom, rather than being dragged along by the whims of external events. It is through this detachment that we gain true freedom, the freedom to live in the world without being overwhelmed by it. Mindfulness, a key practice in Buddhism, is essential for cultivating this detachment. By becoming more aware of our thoughts, emotions, and reactions, we can begin to notice when we are being pulled into the chaos. Instead of reacting automatically to stress, anxiety, or external pressures, mindfulness allows us to step back and observe what is happening within us. This observation creates the space needed to choose how we respond. Instead of reacting with anger, fear, or frustration, we can choose a more peaceful response. Mindfulness helps us detach from the emotional charge that often accompanies external events, allowing us to see things more clearly and act with more intention. This detachment doesn't mean that we ignore the world's problems or shut ourselves off from others. On the contrary, it allows us to engage with the world more effectively. When we are caught in the chaos of our own emotions or thoughts, we are often reactive, making decisions from a place of fear or stress. But when we cultivate inner peace through mindfulness, we are better equipped to engage with the world from a place of wisdom and compassion. This clarity allows us to make decisions that are aligned with our deeper values, rather than reacting impulsively to external pressures. Furthermore, by cultivating inner peace, we can begin to influence the energy around us. When we remain calm in the face of external chaos, we act as a stabilizing force for those around us. In a world that is often marked by conflict, anxiety, and fear, someone who is centered and peaceful can have a profound impact on their environment. This is especially true in communities or families, where the energy of one individual can set the tone for the whole group. By focusing on our own inner peace, we not only improve our own lives, but also contribute to creating a more peaceful world. The practice of detachment in Buddhism is also closely tied to the concept of impermanence. The Buddha taught that all things are temporary and nothing lasts forever. This understanding allows us to let go of our attachment to the fleeting nature of external events. When we become attached to things, whether it's success, possessions, or opinions, we set ourselves up for suffering. External conditions are constantly changing, and when we place our happiness in them, we are bound to be disappointed. But when we embrace the impermanence of life, we are able to detach from the need for things to stay the same. We accept that life is in constant flux, and this acceptance brings with it a sense of peace. We stop clinging to the past or worrying about the future and begin to experience the present moment as it is, free from the need for control or certainty. The more we practice detachment and mindfulness, the more we begin to notice the ways in which we are affected by the world around us. Often, we don't realize how much energy we spend reacting to external events, whether it's the news, other people's opinions, or societal pressures. By becoming more mindful, we become aware of how these external factors influence our mental and emotional states. This awareness gives us the power to choose how we engage with the world. We begin to recognize that we have control over our internal world, even if we can't control what's happening externally. This realization is liberating. It gives us the confidence to remain steady even when the world around us feels unstable. One of the most powerful aspects of this detachment is that it leads to a sense of emotional resilience. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and moments of uncertainty, and it's easy to be thrown off course by difficult circumstances. However, when we practice detachment, we develop the ability to face life's challenges without being consumed by them. We learn to accept what is happening without getting lost in it. This doesn't mean that we are indifferent to suffering or injustice. Instead, it means that we are able to confront these difficulties with a clear mind and a compassionate heart, rather than being overwhelmed by them. The emotional resilience that comes with detachment also allows us to build healthier, more stable relationships. When we are caught in the chaos of our own emotions, we often project our inner turmoil onto others. We react from a place of defensiveness, anger, or fear, which can lead to conflict and disconnection. But when we cultivate inner peace, we are able to approach our relationships with more patience, understanding, and empathy. We are no longer as easily triggered by the words or actions of others. Instead, we are able to listen with an open heart and respond with kindness. This shift in how we interact with others has a profound effect on our personal relationships as well as on the broader society. The more people who practice detachment and cultivate inner peace, the more we contribute to a collective atmosphere of calm, understanding, and cooperation. While detaching from external chaos helps to create inner peace, it also has the potential to create external change. As we become more mindful and detached from the noise of the world, we develop a clearer vision of how we can contribute to positive change. We no longer react impulsively to societal issues, but instead, we approach them with a sense of clarity, compassion, and wisdom. This clarity allows us to take action in ways that are thoughtful and effective, rather than being driven by fear or anger. By remaining centered, we are able to engage in the world's problems with a calm, steady presence, making decisions that are grounded in our deeper values. In addition to emotional resilience and clearer decision-making, detachment also leads to greater self-awareness. By learning to detach from external distractions, we begin to see ourselves more clearly. We recognize the ways in which our minds are influenced by societal pressures, media, and the expectations of others. This self-awareness allows us to make choices that are more aligned with our true selves, rather than reacting to external stimuli. We begin to live more authentically, choosing actions and decisions that reflect our values rather than what is expected of us. This authenticity strengthens our sense of self and leads to a greater sense of inner fulfillment. Finally, detaching from external chaos fosters a sense of gratitude for the present moment. When we stop worrying about the future or obsessing over the past, we become more attuned to the beauty and peace that exists in the present. This gratitude for the present moment deepens our connection to life, to others, and to the world. It's in this space of mindfulness and detachment that we find true peace. Peace that isn't dependent on external conditions, but comes from within. As more people cultivate this peace through mindfulness, detachment, and emotional resilience, the collective consciousness shifts toward a more harmonious, stable, and compassionate world. In conclusion, detaching from the chaos of the world is not about withdrawing from life, but about learning to engage with it from a place of inner peace and clarity. Through mindfulness and detachment, we free ourselves from the mental and emotional turbulence that often dominates our lives. This detachment allows us to face the world with greater resilience, compassion, and understanding. As we cultivate inner peace, we contribute to the collective peace of society, creating ripples of calm and harmony in a world that is often marked by chaos and conflict. The practice of detaching from global chaos, then, is not just a personal journey. It is a shared responsibility, one that holds the potential to heal the world. Building on the idea of detaching from the chaos of the world, we now turn our focus to a concept that lies at the heart of Buddhist teachings: the shared responsibility we have in improving the world. We often think of personal transformation as something that benefits only ourselves. But in Buddhism, there is a deeper understanding that when we transform individually, we contribute to the collective well-being of society. The more we awaken our minds, the more we become aware of our interconnectedness with others and the collective responsibility we share in fostering peace, compassion, and understanding. This call to mental transformation is not just about individual growth. It's about recognizing that the work we do within ourselves ripples outward, touching everyone and everything around us. Buddhism emphasizes the importance of mental awakening, which is the process of opening ourselves to the truth of our interconnectedness and the responsibilities that come with it. The idea is not to isolate ourselves in personal enlightenment, but to awaken to the collective suffering of humanity and our role in alleviating it. We can no longer view our well-being as separate from the well-being of others. The more we practice mindfulness, compassion, and self-awareness, the more we realize that our actions, thoughts, and emotions have far-reaching effects, not only on our own lives, but on the lives of everyone around us. This awakening opens us to the reality that our collective responsibility to the world begins with the transformation of our own minds. When we begin to awaken our minds to the collective responsibility of improving the world, we start by examining the way we think, feel, and interact with others. It all begins with an internal shift, changing how we view ourselves and others. In a world where selfishness and individualism often dominate, Buddhist teachings call us to transcend this narrow view and embrace a mindset of collective well-being. Instead of thinking solely of our own desires and needs, we are invited to consider the impact of our actions on others, on our communities, and on the planet itself. This mental shift allows us to move beyond self-centered thinking and begin to align our actions with the greater good. As we awaken to this shared responsibility, we also develop a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness of all beings. In Buddhism, the principle of interdependence teaches that nothing exists in isolation. Our actions, thoughts, and behaviors are all interconnected with the world around us. This realization calls us to live mindfully, knowing that the choices we make have consequences. Whether we are conscious of them or not, our actions shape the world in profound ways. By awakening to this truth, we understand that our personal transformation is not just for our own peace of mind, but for the peace of the world. This awakening also involves letting go of the illusion that we are powerless in the face of the world's challenges. Many people feel disconnected from the larger issues of society, whether it's poverty, injustice, or environmental degradation, because they believe that their individual actions are too small to make a difference. However, Buddhism teaches us that even the smallest actions, when rooted in mindfulness and compassion, can create a ripple effect that leads to larger societal change. By awakening to our responsibility to improve the world, we begin to see that each thought, word, and action contributes to the collective energy of society. The more we align our thoughts and actions with values of compassion and understanding, the more we contribute to the positive transformation of the world. At the core of this awakening is the recognition that true change comes from within. It is easy to look outward and blame others or the world for its problems, but Buddhism teaches that lasting societal change begins with individual transformation. When we change the way we think, when we work on healing our minds and emotions, we become more capable of positively influencing the world around us. This process starts with mindfulness, paying attention to our thoughts, actions, and reactions. By developing greater awareness, we begin to notice the ways in which we contribute to negativity, whether through anger, judgment, or attachment. With this awareness, we can begin to shift these patterns, replacing them with actions rooted in compassion, kindness, and understanding. This transformation is not just about individual growth. It is a call to awaken to the collective good. When we focus on healing ourselves, we also heal the world. As more individuals awaken to their collective responsibility, a collective shift begins to take place. The more we focus on transforming our own minds by letting go of anger, fear, and greed, the more we contribute to the healing of society. Buddhism teaches that when we heal individually, we are healing the collective. This shift from individualism to collective responsibility is a profound part of Buddhist practice and is essential for creating a more just, peaceful, and compassionate world. The Buddhist concept of bodhicitta, or the mind of enlightenment, encapsulates this call to collective responsibility. Bodhicitta is the wish to achieve enlightenment for the sake of all beings, not just for oneself. It is a selfless aspiration that arises from the understanding that personal transformation is inseparable from the transformation of the world. When we cultivate bodhicitta, we awaken to our responsibility to not only care for our own well-being, but also for the well-being of others. This mental shift moves us from a mindset of individual success to one of shared progress. It encourages us to act not just for our own benefit, but for the benefit of all beings, recognizing that our happiness is intrinsically tied to the happiness of others. The journey of awakening our minds to collective responsibility also involves understanding the deep interconnection between social, environmental, and personal well-being. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises from attachment, ignorance, and desire, and that the path to liberation involves overcoming these internal obstacles. However, the suffering of individuals is often deeply connected to societal and environmental issues. The more we awaken to our own inner suffering, the more we begin to recognize the suffering in the world around us. This awareness calls us to act, not out of guilt or obligation, but from a deep sense of compassion and interconnectedness. We realize that the healing of the individual mind contributes to the healing of the collective mind, and the healing of society is directly linked to the healing of the planet. In this way, the awakening of the mind becomes a path to global change. As individuals, we begin to see ourselves as part of a larger movement, one that transcends personal interests and focuses on the greater good. This shift in mindset empowers us to take action in the world, not from a place of frustration or anger, but from a place of clarity, peace, and compassion. Whether it's addressing social injustices, supporting environmental sustainability, or fostering peace, our awakened minds allow us to approach these issues with greater wisdom, patience, and understanding. Awakening the mind to collective responsibility also means understanding that this process is ongoing. The more we practice mindfulness, compassion, and awareness, the more we deepen our understanding of our role in improving the world. It's not enough to have a moment of insight or to take a single action. The work of transforming the mind and society is a continual process, one that requires dedication and commitment. As we grow, we become more capable of seeing the interconnectedness of all things, and our ability to contribute to positive change expands. The more individuals awaken to this responsibility, the more collective healing takes place. This process is not linear. It is a cycle of continual growth, learning, and transformation, both on a personal and societal level. The Buddhist call to mental transformation for societal good is not just about improving our own lives. It is about recognizing that our personal transformation has a direct impact on the world. The more we awaken to our shared responsibility, the more we contribute to the creation of a compassionate, just, and peaceful world. This understanding challenges the notion that we are powerless in the face of global challenges. Instead, it invites us to realize that the power to transform the world begins within each of us. As we awaken our minds and take responsibility for our own healing, we contribute to the collective healing of society. This shift is not just about personal growth. It is about global transformation, one thought, one action, and one individual at a time. Having explored how awakening our minds to collective responsibility plays a vital role in the transformation of the world, we now take a closer look at the power of one individual's peaceful, centered mind in shifting the collective consciousness. We often think of societal change as something that requires mass movements or collective action. And while these efforts are crucial, Buddhism reminds us that the energy of a single peaceful mind can have far-reaching effects on the world. When one person cultivates inner peace, it doesn't just benefit them, it reverberates outward, creating subtle but significant changes in the collective energy of society. The impact of one individual's mental focus on the collective consciousness is far more powerful than we often realize. The power of a single person's peaceful mind is rooted in the understanding that everything in the universe is interconnected. In Buddhism, the principle of interdependence teaches that our actions, thoughts, and emotions are not isolated from the world around us. When we cultivate peace within ourselves, we send out ripples of calm that affect those we encounter and, ultimately, the broader society. Our energy, both conscious and unconscious, interacts with the collective energy of the world. This means that when we focus on creating inner peace, we are not only transforming ourselves, but also contributing to the transformation of society. The change we make within ourselves becomes the change we bring to the world. A peaceful mind is one that is free from the turbulence of negative thoughts, fear, anger, and attachment. When we learn to still the mind and find a sense of balance, we are no longer driven by external forces or conditioned reactions. This sense of calm allows us to interact with others from a place of clarity and compassion rather than from the chaos of our own emotions. In turn, this calmness influences the way we relate to the world. The energy of peace that we cultivate in our own minds can help to calm tense situations, reduce conflict, and foster understanding. Even in the most stressful or chaotic environments, the presence of one person who is centered and peaceful can act as a stabilizing force, creating a ripple effect that spreads to those around them. The influence of a peaceful mind extends far beyond personal interactions. In a society that is often marked by fear, division, and negativity, the energy of one individual who radiates calmness and compassion can contribute to a shift in the collective consciousness. The more individuals who cultivate inner peace, the more the collective energy of society begins to change. It is not necessary for everyone to be fully enlightened or completely free of negative emotions. Even small acts of mindfulness and peace can have a powerful impact. When one person practices mindfulness, they begin to break the cycle of reactivity and negativity, creating a space for others to do the same. In this way, the peace we cultivate within ourselves helps to create a more peaceful society, one thought, one action, and one person at a time. This concept of individual influence on the collective consciousness is exemplified in the Buddhist practice of the Bodhisattva vow, which is the aspiration to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. The Bodhisattva recognizes that their personal awakening is not for themselves alone, but for the good of all. By focusing on the cultivation of wisdom, compassion, and peace within, the Bodhisattva brings about the transformation of the world. This idea underscores the importance of individual mental focus. When we work on ourselves, on our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions, we contribute to the global shift toward greater peace and understanding. The energy of our peaceful minds becomes a catalyst for collective awakening, and the more individuals who take on this responsibility, the greater the transformation. When we focus on cultivating a peaceful mind, we also create space for deeper insight and wisdom. A calm and clear mind is one that is more attuned to the truth of our interconnectedness with others. It allows us to see beyond the surface-level differences that divide us and recognize the shared humanity that unites us. When we operate from this place of clarity, we are better able to engage with others in a way that is compassionate and understanding. We no longer see people as threats or competitors, but as fellow travelers on the same journey. This shift in perception has a profound effect on the collective consciousness. When more people relate to others from a place of peace and understanding, society begins to change. It becomes a place where collaboration and compassion replace division and conflict. In addition to fostering understanding and compassion, a peaceful mind also brings about greater emotional stability. When we are at peace with ourselves, we are less likely to be swayed by the emotional turbulence of the world. We can remain grounded and calm, even in the face of adversity or uncertainty. This emotional resilience allows us to respond to challenges with clarity and wisdom, rather than reacting out of fear or anger. It is in this space of emotional stability that we are able to make thoughtful decisions, act with integrity, and contribute to the greater good. The more individuals who develop emotional stability through mindfulness and self-awareness, the stronger the collective emotional resilience of society becomes, making it more capable of navigating the challenges of the world. Moreover, the peaceful energy of an individual is contagious. When we are centered and calm, we naturally influence those around us. In our personal relationships, in our work, and in our communities, the energy of peace that we bring into a situation can shift the dynamics. By maintaining a calm and mindful presence, we create an environment where others feel safe, heard, and understood. This not only improves our relationships, but contributes to a broader societal change. The more individuals who embody peace, the more the collective energy shifts toward harmony and cooperation. It is important to recognize that the peace we cultivate in our minds is not separate from the broader issues of the world. In fact, the peaceful mind is the foundation upon which we can build a more just, compassionate, and sustainable world. When we are at peace with ourselves, we are more likely to take actions that align with our values of compassion, fairness, and environmental stewardship. Our internal peace allows us to respond to global challenges such as social injustice, climate change, and inequality with clarity and compassion rather than with anger, frustration, or fear. This shift in how we engage with global issues is critical for creating lasting change. The more people who approach these challenges from a place of peace and wisdom, the more effective our collective efforts will be. The influence of a single peaceful mind also extends to our collective spiritual awakening. As we awaken to the interconnectedness of all beings, we begin to see that the well-being of the world is inextricably linked to our own well-being. The more we focus on cultivating inner peace, the more we recognize that our peace is the peace of the world. When we heal ourselves, we contribute to the healing of the world. This recognition leads to a deeper sense of responsibility. Responsibility not only for our own happiness, but for the happiness and well-being of others. By awakening to this shared responsibility, we strengthen the collective consciousness and work together to create a world that reflects the values of peace, love, and compassion. A single peaceful mind is a powerful force for change. It is easy to feel powerless in the face of global challenges, but when we focus on cultivating peace within ourselves, we realize that our mental state has a profound impact on the world around us. Our thoughts, emotions, and actions influence the collective energy of society. And when we align ourselves with peace and compassion, we contribute to the global shift toward a more harmonious world. The more individuals who awaken to this truth, the greater the impact on the world. One person's peaceful mind can change the energy of a room, a community, or even a nation. And when more individuals take responsibility for cultivating peace, the collective consciousness shifts toward unity, compassion, and understanding. In conclusion, the power of one individual's peaceful mind is far-reaching. By cultivating inner peace, we not only improve our own lives, but contribute to the transformation of society. Each thought, each emotion, and each action rooted in peace has a ripple effect that extends outward, influencing the world in profound ways. The more we focus on our own mental focus, the more we can shift the collective energy toward greater harmony and understanding. One peaceful mind can change the world, and as more individuals embrace this responsibility, the world itself begins to change. As we have explored the profound influence one individual's peaceful mind can have on the world, we now arrive at a deeper understanding of how the mind and the world are not separate but intricately linked. In Buddhism, the concept of interdependence lies at the heart of understanding our connection to one another and to the world around us. This teaching reveals a powerful truth. Our mental well-being and global harmony are not just connected, they are inseparable. The more we focus on healing and nurturing our own minds, the more we contribute to the health of the world. Similarly, the state of the world's well-being affects our minds and emotions. This interconnection is not just a philosophical ideal, it is a living reality that impacts how we relate to each other and the planet. The Buddhist principle of interdependence teaches that all things exist in relation to one another. Nothing is isolated and nothing stands alone. Every action, thought, and decision we make has far-reaching consequences, not just for ourselves, but for the world at large. This interconnectedness means that our mental states are not just personal experiences, but are deeply linked to the collective consciousness. When we heal ourselves, we contribute to the healing of society. When society heals, it has a direct impact on the mental well-being of individuals. This web of interconnection is a continuous cycle that shapes our world in ways both large and small. At its core, the teaching of interdependence calls us to recognize that our well-being is not isolated. The health of our minds is deeply affected by the society we live in, the environment we inhabit, and the relationships we cultivate. Similarly, the state of our mental health influences how we engage with the world. When we are stressed, anxious, or suffering, we are more likely to contribute to division, conflict, or harm. But when we cultivate peace, compassion, and mindfulness, we create an environment that nurtures healing and cooperation. By becoming more aware of this interconnectedness, we begin to see that our individual mental well-being is intrinsically tied to the larger well-being of society and the planet. In this way, mental health is not just an individual responsibility, it is a collective one. In Buddhist teachings, the mind is often compared to a garden. Just as a garden needs to be tended to, nurtured, and cared for to flourish, so too does the mind require attention and care. When the mind is filled with negativity, whether it's hatred, fear, or greed, it becomes like a garden overrun with weeds. These weeds choke out the growth of positive thoughts and emotions, leading to suffering for both the individual and the larger world. However, when we cultivate a peaceful and balanced mind, we clear away these weeds and create space for compassion, understanding, and wisdom to flourish. This practice of nurturing the mind not only improves our own well-being, but contributes to a more positive and harmonious collective environment. The interconnectedness of the mind and the world is also reflected in the way we experience suffering. In Buddhism, suffering is seen as a natural part of life, but it is also something that can be alleviated through mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. When we experience personal suffering, whether it's emotional, mental, or physical, we are reminded that suffering is not unique to us. It is something shared by all beings. This realization opens us to greater empathy and understanding, both for ourselves and others. When we are able to heal our own suffering, we are better equipped to help others heal as well. This mutual healing process creates a ripple effect that spreads throughout society, contributing to a collective sense of peace and well-being. Furthermore, the more we embrace the Buddhist teaching of interdependence, the more we become aware of our relationship with the environment. The health of the earth is closely connected to the health of our minds and societies. When we live in harmony with nature, we create a more balanced and peaceful world. However, when we exploit the environment or disconnect from it, we contribute to the suffering of the planet, which in turn affects our mental health and the well-being of future generations. In this way, our actions toward the earth, whether they are acts of care or harm, are not separate from our mental well-being, but are deeply interconnected. By nurturing our relationship with the planet and respecting its natural balance, we contribute to the health of both the earth and our minds. The principle of interdependence also challenges the illusion of separation. In a world where individualism often prevails, we are taught to see ourselves as separate from others, from nature, and from the world at large. This separation breeds fear, competition, and disconnection. But Buddhism calls us to awaken to the reality that we are not isolated beings, but part of a greater whole. The more we recognize our interconnectedness with others, the more we begin to see that our personal actions have a direct impact on the collective. When we act from a place of mindfulness and compassion, we contribute to the well-being of others and to the world. The more individuals who embrace this understanding, the more the collective consciousness shifts toward cooperation, compassion, and unity. This interconnection between mind and world also highlights the importance of collective action. When we focus on healing our own minds, we not only transform ourselves, but also inspire others to do the same. This collective effort leads to a societal shift toward greater harmony, peace, and sustainability. As more people become aware of the interconnectedness of all things, they begin to act in ways that are more conscious and compassionate. This shift in collective consciousness creates a world where cooperation replaces competition, where understanding replaces judgment, and where peace becomes a shared goal. The more we nurture our own minds, the more we contribute to the transformation of society and the world. The Buddhist teachings on interdependence are not just about personal growth, they are a call to action. As we become more aware of our interconnectedness with others and with the world, we recognize that the work we do on ourselves has a direct impact on the broader world. This realization motivates us to act in ways that support the well-being of others, whether it's through acts of kindness, promoting social justice, or caring for the environment. The more individuals who embrace this responsibility, the more the collective consciousness shifts toward global harmony. Our actions, no matter how small, are part of a larger process of transformation that has the potential to create a more peaceful and compassionate world. This shift in consciousness is not something that happens overnight. It requires consistent effort and dedication to understanding the interconnectedness of all things. It requires mindfulness, self-awareness, and compassion. But as more people engage in this practice, the impact grows. The collective energy of society begins to shift, and we start to see the world through a different lens, one that recognizes the inherent connection between all beings. As we cultivate inner peace and compassion, we contribute to a world where these values are reflected in every interaction, every decision, and every action. The teaching of interdependence also calls us to examine our own beliefs and assumptions. In a world where divisions, whether based on race, religion, or nationality, often create conflict, the awareness of interdependence helps us move beyond these artificial boundaries. When we recognize that we are all interconnected, we see that the suffering of one is the suffering of all. This awareness fosters empathy and compassion, allowing us to approach others with an open heart and a mind free from judgment. As we break down the barriers that separate us, we create the conditions for greater unity, peace, and cooperation. In conclusion, the Buddhist principle of interdependence offers a profound understanding of how our minds and the world are deeply interconnected. By focusing on the healing and transformation of our own minds, we contribute to the well-being of society and the planet. Our actions, thoughts, and emotions are not isolated. They are part of a larger, interconnected web of existence. As we become more mindful of this interconnectedness, we begin to act in ways that support the collective good, contributing to a more harmonious and compassionate world. The more individuals who embrace this understanding, the more the collective consciousness shifts toward peace, cooperation, and sustainability. The work we do on ourselves is the work we do for the world, and through this process of awakening, we create a more unified and compassionate global community. Building on our exploration of interdependence and how individual actions contribute to the collective well-being, we now focus on a key practice in Buddhism that can help alleviate global suffering: transforming personal desires into compassionate action. In a world filled with craving, competition, and attachment, it can feel as though the pursuit of individual desires is at odds with the greater good. But Buddhism teaches us that the path to peace, both personally and globally, lies in transforming our desires, not by repressing them, but by reshaping them into acts of compassion. This profound shift in how we view our desires offers a powerful tool to reduce suffering, not just for ourselves, but for all beings. The Buddha's teachings remind us that desire, in and of itself, is not inherently negative. It is a natural part of being human to desire things, whether it's comfort, success, love, or security. However, the suffering arises when our desires become attachments. When we cling to these desires, believing that our happiness is dependent on their fulfillment. This attachment blinds us to the reality of impermanence and the interconnectedness of all beings. When we focus solely on our own desires, we lose sight of the fact that true happiness doesn't come from external achievements or possessions, but from inner peace and compassion. To transform our desires into compassion, we must first recognize the role attachment plays in creating suffering. Buddhism teaches that the root of suffering is not desire itself, but our attachment to desire. When we cling to something, whether it's a material possession, a relationship, or an idea, we create a sense of separation between ourselves and others. We begin to see the world in terms of what we can gain or lose, rather than as a shared experience. This creates fear, anxiety, and competition, emotions that only perpetuate suffering. However, when we recognize the impermanence of all things, we are better able to release our attachment to them. Instead of clinging to desires, we begin to see them as opportunities for growth and understanding. Mindfulness plays a key role in this transformation. By practicing mindfulness, we develop the awareness needed to observe our desires without becoming consumed by them. Mindfulness allows us to notice when we are acting from a place of attachment or craving, and gives us the space to choose how we respond. Instead of mindlessly chasing after our desires, we begin to approach them with clarity and intention. This shift in perspective allows us to let go of the need to possess or control, and instead directs our energy toward compassionate action. Rather than desiring more for ourselves, we begin to desire the well-being of others. We recognize that our happiness is not separate from the happiness of others, and that true fulfillment comes from acting with compassion and kindness. As we begin to transform our desires, we also begin to recognize the interconnectedness of all beings. Our actions, fueled by compassion rather than attachment, have a ripple effect on those around us. When we act with the intention of reducing suffering, whether through acts of kindness, generosity, or service, we contribute to the collective well-being of society. Compassionate action creates a world where the needs of others are prioritized, where cooperation replaces competition, and where peace takes root. In this way, the transformation of our desires into compassion not only benefits us personally, but also contributes to the healing of the world. This process of transforming desire into compassionate action is not a one-time event, but a continuous practice. As we become more mindful of our thoughts, emotions, and desires, we begin to notice the subtle ways in which our attachments manifest. This awareness allows us to choose actions that are in alignment with our values of kindness, empathy, and understanding. Over time, these small shifts accumulate, creating a profound transformation in how we relate to the world. As we transform our desires into acts of compassion, we begin to create a world where suffering is reduced and peace is cultivated. One of the most powerful aspects of this transformation is the way it reshapes our relationships with others. When we are driven by our own desires, we tend to see others as means to an end, whether that end is validation, success, or material gain. This creates a transactional approach to relationships, where the focus is on what we can get from others rather than on what we can give. But when we transform our desires into compassion, we begin to approach relationships with a sense of generosity and care. Instead of seeing others as objects to fulfill our needs, we see them as fellow beings with their own desires and struggles. This shift in perspective allows us to build deeper, more meaningful connections rooted in mutual respect and understanding. Furthermore, when we act from a place of compassion, we inspire others to do the same. The energy we bring into the world, whether in our relationships, our work, or our communities, ripples outward, creating an environment where kindness, cooperation, and understanding flourish. As we transform our desires into compassionate action, we encourage others to reflect on their own attachments and desires, and to act from a place of mindfulness and compassion. In this way, our personal transformation becomes part of a collective movement toward a more compassionate, peaceful world. The Buddhist path teaches that the ultimate goal is not the fulfillment of individual desires, but the cessation of suffering for all beings. By transforming our desires into compassion, we move closer to this goal. As we let go of attachment and craving, we begin to see the world through the lens of empathy and interconnectedness. We recognize that the suffering of others is our suffering, and that the happiness of others is our happiness. This realization drives us to take compassionate action, whether it's through small acts of kindness in our daily lives or larger efforts to address systemic issues such as poverty, inequality, or injustice. The more we transform our desires into compassionate action, the more we contribute to the collective healing of society. In practical terms, transforming desire into compassion means shifting our priorities from personal gain to the well-being of others. It's about choosing to act with kindness even when we don't expect anything in return. It's about practicing generosity, whether it's giving our time, resources, or attention to those in need. It's about listening with empathy, offering support without judgment, and being present for others in times of struggle. These small everyday actions are the building blocks of a compassionate society. As more individuals transform their desires into compassion, the world itself begins to change. This transformation also requires us to confront the societal structures that perpetuate inequality, injustice, and environmental degradation. In a world driven by consumerism and the pursuit of personal gain, it can be difficult to break free from the cycle of attachment and desire. But Buddhism calls us to challenge these systems and to work toward a world where compassion, fairness, and sustainability are at the forefront. Transforming our desires into compassionate action means not only shifting our personal behavior, but also working to change the systems that perpetuate suffering. This may involve advocating for social justice, supporting environmental sustainability, or addressing economic inequalities. It means using our power and resources to benefit the greater good, rather than hoarding them for ourselves. In conclusion, transforming desires into compassion is a deeply transformative practice that holds the potential to reduce global suffering. As we let go of attachment and cultivate compassion, we create a more peaceful and harmonious world. This transformation starts with the individual but extends outward, influencing our relationships, our communities, and society at large. By shifting our focus from personal gain to collective well-being, we begin to create a world where empathy, kindness, and understanding flourish. This process is not quick or easy, but it is a path that leads to a more just, compassionate, and peaceful world for all beings. As we've journeyed through the transformative teachings of Buddhism, it's become clear that the well-being of our minds is directly linked to the well-being of the world. From understanding the power of inner peace to recognizing the impact of mindful reflection and detachment, we've seen how cultivating a healthy, compassionate mind doesn't just heal us, it heals the world. Every small shift we make within ourselves radiates outward, influencing the collective consciousness and fostering a more harmonious, connected society. Remember, your mental health is not just for you, it's a contribution to the global welfare. By embracing mindfulness, compassion, and self-awareness, we each become part of a larger movement toward collective peace and positive change. It all starts with you. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. How has this journey of focusing on your mind impacted your view of the world? Drop a comment below and share your reflections. If you found these insights valuable, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more lessons on how to transform your mind and the world around you. Let's keep growing together, one mindful step at a time.